The Gun Shop Show, the Gun Shop Show. What is it? We don't know. The Gun Shop Show, the Gun Shop Show. Here we go, it's the Gun Shop Show.
I'm starting the show with the sip cam today. That's the
Good
first
old
time
sip
ever.
cam.
Welcome to the Gun Shop Show. I'm your host, Eli Bruton, owner of Liberty Tree Guns, and I'm joined by our producer, Trevor Smith.
Hey.
There he is.
There we go.
Slumming it with that ugly duckling camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that we got one camera. It's not quite as good as the other cameras, and we had to give Trevor the crappiest camera. So if you're wondering if Trevor looks a little off, that's just the camera.
It's just the camera.
Camera
It's
adds
in person.
Camera adds 10 years.
Whoa.
And then we also have Logan Jones.
Man, I just can't get over myself.
That just is never not funny. Logan Jones. Welcome to the show. This is your favorite program on the topic of guns. We are giving away quite possibly the most valuable gun
I think so.
that we've ever given away. And we have a really exciting guest coming up. So
Super exciting.
today's topic is going to be hunting
It is.
in Alaska. And in the spirit of that, we're going to give away a hunting rifle. Now, full disclosure, I wouldn't call this an Alaska hunting rifle.
I wouldn't either.
Actually, we just got lucky in the fact that we were doing a hunting rifle while we had a hunter on coming up. But
Yeah.
either way, still serendipitous, still good luck.
Yeah.
So you can win this Ruger American 270 bolt action rifle, brand new in the box, black synthetic stock, black finish, just by sharing the feed and tagging 5 of your friends in
That's
the
it.
comments.
So simple.
That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. So I recommend that you do that. And our guest coming up is Caleb Stillians, Alaskan hunting guide, who also has a YouTube channel. And I have a feeling he's going to be a really interesting dude to talk to. So that'll be exciting. This has been a whirlwind of a week in terms of
Yes, it has.
us here doing our jorb here selling guns.
Good old Jorbs.
You have been buried many times under a pile of inventory over there, Logan.
Absolutely.
And then every little bit you dig out, you put all that inventory on the floor.
Yeah.
But that's only long enough
For the next stuff to come in.
the next stuff to come in. It's a never-ending cycle. It is it's actually
It's a good thing. It's a great thing.
Isn't it impressive the amount of product that literally comes through here and then goes back out?
Man, and it seems to be increasing day by day. We're getting more and more and more stuff in.
Yeah, so we got a shipment of ammo, which I know has been hot. So remind me what all we got in.
As far as ammo, we got a little bit of 22. We got some 9mm. We got some 5.56. The biggest ammo shipment that we got,
The hot
was
stuff.
the hot stuff, an entire pallet of 7.62 by 51. An entire pallet.
That's 308, folks.
We're talking about 1,000 boxes.
1,000 boxes.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. That's the good stuff. And you know what? The price is pretty competitive on that. So it's proof that, I see people say that, well, this is the new norm. It's never going to come back down. It's going to come back down. Trust me. As a guy who's been on every side of this curve, that when my wholesale cost comes up, I got to buy it for more and sell it for more. And this has been the craziest sequence of that, to see the price come up. And I've broke down on the show before how this works. People say, well, they're, what's the word? What's the thing they say?
What do they say?
The term that people say about ammo.
They're like, you guys are just price gouging on that ammo.
Gouging.
I've never seen such bad price gouging in all my life, and I survived the 22 epidemic 5 years ago.
Yeah, that. Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. So, and then I've shared, like, here's the deal. Normally I get ammo through our typical distributors, and obviously it's pretty static, and the price even would fluctuate some, especially within common things like 9mm. It always has done that, but it was within a range of a few dollars per box.
Yeah.
But what happened this time is all the way back in March of 2020, when, I mean, this just goes along with the story, when my newborn daughter was being born, is when this all broke off, and all of the ammo sold out in a 8-hour day. Like literally every supplier that a gun dealer would draw from sold out all at once. And I was ordering, and I ordered what I thought was a ridiculous amount of ammo at the time, and it was just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, looking back, should have ordered more.
Should have ordered more. And some of it I ordered everything that was left by the time I discovered it, and I was working off my phone. But anyway, but since then we had a window, like we sold out of all of that. We were out of stock for probably 3 months of no.
It was a good
9mm.
period of just nothing.
No 9mm, and I had been offered some ammo that was like double cost, and I was like, no, like things will get better. I'll order it from my typical suppliers. Like, no, thank you. But after a while, like after 90 days of not being able to buy it through any wholesaler, I mean, literally completely out of stock, and seeing it sell repeatedly on the internet, I went and I asked people, I said, would you rather me get it at this price or not at all? So it's the same, depending on the caliber, we make 10%, maybe 15% on certain select calibers of profit margin. Okay, there's the secret sauce, guys. We buy it in pallets, we put it on the shelf at 10% more than we paid for it. And I just paid, climbing that scale from, normally cost might be like $12 and we would sell it for $14.95. And then I paid $20 for some and sold it for $24.95, and then it went up to $30 and then $34.95, and that's what we've been doing. Yeah. But we got a chance to order this 308, and it was maybe not quite 2019 prices, but it was still in the ballpark, and got it out on the shelf, and it's been flying off the shelf. So if you need 308, flying. Yeah. If you need 308, now's the time. But we've got in a lot of other cool stuff, guns-wise. There's some cool stuff on the background behind me. And, I think one of the things that we don't do enough of is talk about those guns.
No, we don't.
What do we got behind me? I'll just pretend.
Okay, and I'll pretend to know what all of them are.
Yeah. Well, you put them up there.
Yeah, that's right. Where are we pointing at? That right there is a 6-inch Heritage Rough Rider.
It looks like it has an interesting grip. What kind of grip is that?
It's a laminate grip.
So Heritage Rough Rider, we gave away a used version of that on the show a little while back.
You point up. That is a IFG Tangfolio Limited Master Stock Defiant 9mm.
Looks a lot like a CZ.
It's based off the CZ. They're very similar in ergonomics and the way they shoot. There's some different features like the serrations. They're not really any serrations, but they shoot wonderfully.
Slide porting looking stuff. Got a couple SIGs, right?
Right. There you go. Top one's a SIG M18 with 21 round mags. Has a manual safety, just like what the Army was issued, which is pretty awesome.
You're going to want one of those.
Right below it is the SIG P365. This one's actually the value pack. It comes with a holster in the box, and I believe an additional mag. Instead of 2, you get 3.
How we get that?
I don't know how we got that.
Is that from being a SIG master dealer?
Oh, yeah, it is.
So SIG was like, came up to Liberty Tree Guns, was like, "What's up, girl?" Like
we were like, "How you doing?
How you doing?" And SIG was like, "You're about to find out. How would you like to be a master dealer?" And we're like, "We would." They said, "Also, we would like to have hundreds of thousands of your dollars."
And we were like, "Wait a minute."
Let's talk about this. Let's back it up, because when it was just all fun and being like, "Yeah, let's do it," but we did it, and it's paid off.
It's been awesome.
That's what those guns probably came from.
All those M400 tread snake bites.
Oh yeah, we got those.
SIG master dealer.
Super good volume, or super good value in AR-15s.
Absolutely.
Really a sort of upper tier AR for a entry level price, and we should have some of those in stock. We have been having unprecedented volume in terms of shipments. FedEx, in fact, is the one going, how you doing?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, looking at our account.
We're like, hey, girl.
What's up, girl? You hooked me up with some shipments.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the guest. He's going to be joining us in the next segment, and he's coming in studio, if I'm correct.
Yeah, he is. He'll be here live. He'll sit right next to me.
And he's a friend or acquaintance of yours who has a pretty interesting job. Let's set that up for the listener because people are going to want to stay tuned for this.
Yeah, so Caleb and I both went to Chicago. We both graduated the same high school, whatnot. So that's kind of where we met, was in school. And he's done a lot of things. He started his journey was in archery. He did some stuff in that, and he was really good at it. He was practicing a lot. He won a bunch of medals and whatnot. And then recently, he decided that he was going to go hunt in Alaska as a guide, and there's a bunch of stuff you have to do for that. So for the past few years, he's been doing that and working up to get his license to be a guide, essentially. And that's kind of where we're at. We've stayed in touch while we can over the years, and we've talked several times. And I'm excited to have him back on. I haven't seen him in quite a while.
You showed us a little snippet of some of the YouTube videos he's made of his hunts, and top quality, exciting stuff, beautiful landscapes. So he's going to break down the life of an Alaskan hunting guide when we get right back here on the Gun Shop Show. Hey, podcast listeners and live stream viewers. I wanted to let you know that the Gun Shop Show is made possible by our friends at Mid-America RV. Being in the customer service industry, I have a really high standard for how customers are treated. Mid-America RV does it right. I've got my RV through their dealership, and I've taken it all over the country. We made it to South Padre Island. We've gone to Colorado several times. And if you've ever owned an RV, you know there's a lot that comes with it. So who you get it from matters, and it's extremely important that you have support after the sale. They're located just outside of Carthage. They have a really vast inventory, and they are home of, I believe they call it a forever warranty. So I urge you, if you're in the market for one, to check them out. It's a really fun and can be very affordable way to get your trips in. So visit them at midamericarv.com. We appreciate their support of the Gun Shop Show. If you're in the market for a travel trailer or fifth wheel, check out Mid-America RV.
Our member is involved in a brief road rage incident. One driver cuts off another in traffic, and harsh words and gestures soon follow. After the pleasantries are exchanged, our driver goes on his way, assuming the incident is over. However, still agitated, the other driver calls 911 and reports our member as aggressive, possibly having seen a weapon in his hand. In reality, what he saw was our member flipping him the bird. In an incident that can only be described as an overreaction by officers, our member is pulled over. When officers learn that he carries a legal concealed firearm, they arrest him despite a lack of evidence. This incident is just one of numerous member experiences. Be aware when traveling with a firearm. Any aggressive actions made by you, right or wrong, can land you in jail. Don't let it happen to you.
This just in. Huge cave found beneath the heart of the city. Spelunkers shared tales of an underground cavern system in Carthage, Missouri. Locals report the entrance to be at 10th and Garrison. Cave Gang Pizza. Stop in and enjoy wings, wood-fire pizza made with local ingredients, and our full bar. Bring the whole gang and uncover a legend.
Our evenings, or often on weekends, are spending Friday and Saturday nights on the deck with our friends. Before, everybody would be crowded. We could barely sit together. We were walking on top of each other if everybody was on the deck. Now there's plenty of room for everyone to roam around and relax comfortably and have plenty of space.
Specifically, I know that every post they bury to a certain depth with full concrete. They use 6x6 posts, strapping and hurricane strapping on everything. It's how I feel a deck should be built if it's going to be built right.
This is Russell. I gotta go. It's time for the Gun Shop Show.
Welcome back to the Gun Shop Show. I'm very excited about today's show because we're joined by a very exciting guest, and just having got to talk to him before the show, I already know it's going to be a great conversation. Already enjoying getting to know him, and I'm sure we'll become friends even more so. But first, I got to tell you about the giveaway for today. We're giving away a Ruger American 270. So not only is this a great gun to own anytime, but it's especially good right now while hunting rifles in the common calibers have been a little scarce to find. So all of these affordable Rugers have been sparsely in stock. So this is the Ruger American in 270. It's just a standard weight barrel, really good gun, probably about a $450 value.
Yeah.
We're giving it away on the show, and all you have to do is share the feed. So if you're listening on the radio, you need to jump over to Facebook, type in Liberty Tree Guns, and then tag 5 of your friends. And please tag people who are into guns, or in the case of today's episode, into Alaska and hunting. Tag people that you think would really dig it. I don't want you to just spam your friends in order to get entered to win this gun. Pick out some people, really be thoughtful about it, who would dig the show, because when we pick up people who are into what we're into, believe in what we believe in, that's what propels the show and makes it more unique. And we enjoy having those conversations with you in the fan group, which you can type in Gun Shop Show fan group. There's a discussion group where you can talk with us and talk with other fans of the show. So make sure you share the feed and tag 5 friends, and then sit back and enjoy what I know is going to be a great conversation with our guest, Caleb Stillians, Alaskan hunting guide. Caleb, thanks so much for coming in today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and can't wait to see what we talk about.
You know, a lot of times our guests don't get to come into the studio,
Okay.
and so it's really great to be meeting you here in person and have such a great local talent. Logan is a friend of yours, and you two know each other, and
Yes,
so
sir.
he has brought you to the show. And for that reason, I'm going to let Logan be sort of taking the reins on this interview today.
Cool.
Sounds
Gotcha.
good.
Okay, Caleb, just introduce yourself a little bit. Let us know, and let our viewers know exactly what you do. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, yeah. So Caleb Stillians went over that. Grew up a local boy here in Secaucus. Shot archery, did well at that. Was fortunate to do well in that. And it ended up connections through meeting people. Ended up in Alaska as a packer. Kind of started packing, went into that, and then as you grow in packing, then you can have the opportunity to get your assistant guide's license going there, and that's hunting up in Alaska. You got grizzly bears, you got brown bears, you got black bears, you got moose, tall sheep, goat, the whole 9 yards. And I've always kind of fell in love with hunting, especially I think the first moment that really hit me, because none of my family hunts. Like, I'm the only one in my family that hunts.
Wow.
And I was like 9, sitting there, and I was watching Jeremiah Johnson. Some of the older group might know this movie. Some of the younger ones, look it up. But this movie was like, I fell in love with it. I was like, one day I'm going to figure out how to go hunting up there. So I started like watching the Pursuit Channel, watching all these hunting shows. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. So I take off in the woods, go hunting. And it took me 2 years to finally get a deal, and I was like 12 at the time. I had no idea what I was doing. And then that kind of led me down the road of hunting, and then being in the mountains and getting out there and really experiencing it. So now I lead hunts in Alaska, guide for bears, moose, mountain goat, the whole 9 yards, and really love it. It teaches you how to be happy even when it's sucky. So it's fun.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but now that you've been doing this a while, you're documenting your hunts and sort of telling that story on YouTube.
Yeah, no, exactly. So what was happening is, so I was always trying to film stuff with my phone, but when all the crazy cool stuff would happen, it was like, crap, this bear is going to try to eat me. I'm not going to be holding my phone out like, ooh, I have my gun. I'm like, if you cross that line, I got this imaginary line drawn in my head, 10 yards. If you cross that line, I'm going to dump you right there and you're going to be done. So I was like, I got to hire a camera guy, because all this wild crap's happening that could be caught on film and could be shared with the public. But if I don't do that, I can't capture with my phone because I don't want to die today. So it's like picking life over the video. So I had to find a compromise and hire a guy.
And so did that help you make a leap maybe in quality, because your stuff is really well done, and from just the short time I've gathered from you, you don't fancy yourself a computer guy. So did that help you like really come right out of the gate with really well made stuff?
It did. So I'm smart enough to know that I'm not smart in a lot of areas. So it's like, okay, I can hunt and I can do that. I can climb any mountain and I love it and do it well. But for me to sit behind a computer and put out quality content, that's going to be a struggle. So maybe it's a better use of my time, which is the most valuable asset I have, to hire someone and pay them and bring them on and make them a part of it. So that's kind of what developed that. That's why out of the gate, really good quality, really good, honestly, everything, and kind of get it going like that. So it's like okay, I'm not going to be good at this, so I'm going to find someone that's damn good at it and have them come on.
Well, it looks like you have, and just off the top of your head, I want to show people just a little snippet of the sort of imagery that comes from your videos, because even if you're not into hunting personally, like if you don't want to go out in the woods and, you know, I hear people complain about being cold or whatever, you don't want to make the trek, you cannot deny the value of the beauty of nature. And so is there any videos you'd say, if we just show a few seconds of it to kind of paint the picture of where you get to make your living, what video do we need to look for on YouTube for that?
I would type in Rise Up with Caleb Stillians intro. That's just the flash of like, here's some of the cool slow-mo shots of the beauty, and you can kind of start looking at that. Another one I would recommend is I wrote this poem, God Made a Hunter. So it's kind of a spin off the Paul Harvey poem, God Made a Farmer. I was like, that is such a great idea. And just taking that and using that same principle on like what God did on like the people that have that warrior spirit that want to go out and hunt. And that's another one that's got some crazy pretty shots, and it's got the feel to it, kind of like what hunting is and what it means to a lot of people that do it.
Trevor, let us know when you find Rise Up.
I have
Caleb
it here.
Stillians, and how long is it?
This intro is 40 seconds.
Let's run it.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon.
I love everything about it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's one of the best intros I've ever seen.
Yeah, you can't watch that and not think that Caleb Stillians lives an awesome life and has a really awesome job. So we're coming up on a break, and we're going to get into some of the things we saw there. I know that not only do you guide hunts, but you have an outfitter type business. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about some of the new things you have going on, and let Logan once again get in the driver's seat when we get back. So stick with us. We'll have more Caleb Stillians, Alaskan hunter, on the Gun Shop Show. Hey everyone, the Gun Shop Show is brought to you by Carthage Lock and Key. If you need anything to do with a lock or a key
To success!
Did they tell you to say that?
No, I just thought it sounded good.
They have a mobile service, so they can come to you and cut pretty much any kind of key.
To success!
Or if you lock your keys in your
To
car.
success!
I'm talking even security modern chip keys.
To success!
Trevor, could you just jingle the name of the business?
Okay. Yeah, I'll do it good this time.
So, with all of my properties and all of the needs I have, I trust
Carthage Lock and Key! To success!
the Ruger Security 9 LTO, an exclusive new firearm only from Liberty Tree Guns. This is an affordable pistol that comes with Ruger's renowned reliability and workmanship, and comes with an optic with a 3-year warranty. If you haven't ever shot a pistol with an optic on it, it's a lot of fun and you can really acquire a target quickly. All right, Ruger Security 9 LTO unboxing. So it pretty much obviously comes with everything the Ruger Security 9 would already come with, and this is how they look in the box. Ruger started doing this insert in the box, which is kind of nice. We've had to modify it a little bit to make sure that your optic fits. So there's a cutout so the cover can go on and then the gun can fit right here in that. They come with 2 mags, so a lot of price point guns, you're just getting 1 mag, but you get 2 15-round, OEM mags. A couple little bonuses is the optic comes with the AR mounts. So if you want to pull this optic off and run it on an AR, you've got everything that you need. That's a freebie, just comes in the box. Once we pull this insert out, here's where all the goodies that come with the optic. Got a 3-year warranty on the Firefield optic, the user manual. It has the tools for both mounting the optic if you want to take it off, and also the adjustment screwdriver for the windage and elevation, and then all of the factory information for your pistol. So this is the format that those will come in. And again, guys, remember, this is an option if you are excited to try out an optic on a pistol and you want to do it for a price point. So these at this price are cheaper than some guys are paying for just an optic. You're getting the gun and the optic. You can get the price and all the details at libertytreeguns.com. Just search LTO.
Hey everybody, Eli here, and I'm really excited to tell you that the Gun Shop Show is brought to you by one of my favorite places on earth. Located here in my hometown of Carthage on the beautiful historic square, the Emporium on the square, and the Woodshed. It's a art gallery, an event center, a gift shop. They have art classes, and there's very unique Americana artwork from famous artists like Andy Thomas. They handle a lot of his original framing. Just has this incredible old school vibe, and you can feel the history coming through. Have to check out the art gallery, but then as you work your way to the back, my favorite part, the Woodshed, had a lot of great meals in here. They've got burgers. I love their catfish. Excellent. Chicken and waffles even. It's incredible. And it's also a music venue, so we got to see my favorite band of all time, the Ben Miller Band. Ceiling was literally raining down. They were rocking so hard. But the best thing, owned by one of my favorite people on earth, that's Cherry Babcock. Check out the Emporium on the Square and the Woodshed.
Hey there. We got your lab results back. It looks like you have a fever, and the only prescription is more Gun Shop Show.
To Alaska. We're talking about Alaska literally as we're coming back from break and not paying attention to my, we're talking about day jobs and the great one that Caleb has. And I forgot that I'm doing my day job right now. And that's hosting the Gun Shop Show, where you can win a hunting rifle in 270. This is a Ruger American. Ruger sort of disrupted the market. The Savage Axis was kind of the only thing in that under $500 price point that people generally talked about. And now you can get into a Ruger with a lifetime warranty. And Ruger's just been, nothing on Savage, but Ruger, to me, as a company, has been really great to deal with and a great American company. And you can own this one today. All you have to do is share the feed, tag 5 friends and get yourself a Ruger American with an adjustable trigger and a lifetime warranty, and support your friends in the gun business.
That's us.
And this little venture here we have called the Gun Shop Show. Logan, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, absolutely. Caleb, I wanted to talk about, you said you started off packing. What exactly is packing?
Okay, so packing is you the guide's B word. So you just kind of, you do what you're told. You pretty much, so I kind of incorporate in like, say, military. So say you're a private, you're really not in charge of much of anything. You just do what you're told. So that's getting your feet wet and kind of making sure that you're tough. And you get berated a lot. Like the guides will be like this as mean as they can to you sometimes. It's not always, but sometimes. So it's kind of like weeding out because there's a lot of packers that go up there because everyone wants to be an Alaskan assistant guide, lead grizzly bear hunts. Like who doesn't want to do that? But you got to weed out the weak, because if you're weak and say you start getting bad judgments, you can get someone killed like that. Absolutely. So that's the time that you get to put in your dues, pay your time, and just do it.
And you have to be tough.
Yeah, you do.
have to be tough to make it. And a lot of things where there's life on the line, you find that culture of just don't have a lot of patience for shenanigans or bad decisions or laziness, not because we just don't like laziness, but it could get somebody hurt
or killed.
I saw that culture as a police officer. It's like when the new guys came up, so many of them were squirrely, and you had to trust at times your life to this other person that's riding in the passenger seat. So if they're being an idiot, and everybody's going to be a little bit of an idiot when they're new.
Oh yeah.
Even if they have good intentions and they end up having what it takes, but you're not going to find out, at least not soon enough, unless you push their buttons a little bit. So there was a lot of that element of like, we'll find out what you're made of, and that's by being a little bit hard on you.
Right. If you can't take the verbal abuse of people picking at you, you're sure as heck not going to be able to take a barrel charge in you and hold your emotions in, because everything, and not everything, but most things in life is about you being able to keep like a straight face and keep composure. And if you lose composure of this guy poking fun at you because you got a funny nose or whatever it is, you ain't going to be able to keep your composure when a 1,200-pound bear is like snapping his jaws and getting ready to think about eating you. Like you got to weed those people out, just like what you said in law enforcement. Yeah. That guy can't deal with that. He's going to choke when something bad's going down.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So you started off packing. When do you officially become a guide, your own guide?
So it's a process in Alaska. So you start out as a packing, and I believe the regs, so don't quote me, is like 2 seasons in the field under a guide, and then you can apply for your assistant guide's license. And assistant guide license is where it's kind of deceiving, but you can go out and you guide the hunts for an outfitter. So you're the only guy out in the field with them hunting. The outfitter has to be in that unit, and that's a 3 to 5 year process typically. And a lot of guys stay there. Very few guys go from assistant guide to registered guide from there, just because there's a huge test you got to take. You got to know all these skills. There's a lot of legal stuff that goes into it, and there's a lot of paperwork that goes into it. So that's 3 to 5 years. You go through that, and from that point, you can take your registered test, go ahead and become your own outfitter, and open your own outfit. And that's kind of the point that I'm about to take. I'm not a registered guide yet, because you have to be, like I said, 3 to 5 years. I'm hitting that 3 to 5 years now.
Okay.
Going to take the test in the fall, and I'm going to pass it. I mean, it's just like anything else. Anybody can do anything if they put enough time and effort into it. So it's just whether you're going to college or doing a machine shop or doing a trade. It's like put enough time into it, and there's no reason why you can't be owning that and doing it yourself in 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of a man after my own heart, and in starting out at something, you want to do it. You don't know at what scale, probably, if you're anything like me. Like, I just know I'm going after this. And then as you get there and you understand, like, this is the path, then it's like a foregone conclusion. I'm here, and maybe I don't know exactly where the finish line is, but I know I'm going to keep pushing, and I'll recognize it when I see, where I want to be in this, entire infrastructure. But I want to ask, like, so obviously you fell in love with hunting, and you took off to Alaska, and no family connection there. You just like started looking up where to go.
So the Alaska experience. So I grew up there from age 2 to age 8. I was up in Alaska. My dad wanted to go to Bible college up there, so we went up there to Bible college. Mom and dad were from Missouri area. My aunt and uncle adopted a child that had autism, and my mom and dad felt they're very spiritual people. They felt called back to Missouri to help my aunt and uncle with that. So that's how I ended up landing in Secaucus. Met Logan, his family, Jones, are a great family. I love them.
Thanks for saying that.
You're welcome. No, it's true. I remember talking to your dad, and he was giving me business advice when I didn't even know what business was. So it was really cool.
That sounds like
Logan does have a really great tight-knit family, and we always just give Logan crap for being the gun bunny on the show. But in reality, like he's a great person, and his family are really good people.
I
so
appreciate that.
They are. Yep. So that's where my love for the mountains in Alaska came from, was that 6-year time period up there when I was a kid. Moved back down here. So I love Missouri. Missouri is beautiful for its own thing, mainly the people. The people are awesome around here. Can't beat them. But I can't walk 500 yards without running into a barbed wire fence, and that just drove me crazy. I was like, there's fences everywhere. Alaska, I can walk 500 miles without running into a barbed wire fence. So that's kind of like drew me back up there.
That freedom.
It is. It really is.
The mountains are just different, and I haven't had the pleasure of going to Alaska, but I mean, the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, every time I go there, and I just, there's a feeling that you get, and it makes you wonder, like, why don't I spend all my time here? You know, and every time I go, I feel that way, and come back here because it's home, but I can definitely see the appeal. It wouldn't take too much convincing of why you fell in love with Alaska.
Yeah, absolutely. I took my first vacation last year that I've ever taken, and we went to El Paso, and I got to go to White Sands, which is, if you haven't been, absolutely beautiful. You get to sled down sand dunes.
What?
Like, it's something I never thought I would do.
There's sand dunes in El Paso?
It's next to El Paso.
Oh,
it was not in El Paso. It was like an hour away from El Paso. I'm not sure what town it was.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, but they're white sands. Like, it's like pure white, and it's cold to the touch, and you can sled down them. And I mean, you can't really sled down them, but some of them are pretty steep.
Did you take like that board where you can kind of like catch those waves going down the sand at all?
They actually sold sleds. It was pretty much like a trash can lid upside down. That's essentially what it was, and they were charged for them. But doing that experience really opened my eyes to, there's a lot more than just Missouri out there.
Yeah.
And that if you have the means, you can get out there, absolutely do it, because it's going to change your life.
There's stuff out there that, like, I never even heard of that.
I neither had I until I got there, and they were like, let's go to White Sands, and I was like, sand dunes?
Right. And, you
sure.
talk about Texas, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, exactly.
I tell you a place you guys got to check out. Speaking of Colorado, it's the Great Sand Dunes National Park.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's so beautiful because all the sand blew in, I don't know, 150 years ago, whenever it was, and it piled up against these huge mountains, Blanca and whatever the other names of the mountains in that area is. So you have these huge sand dunes, you have a creek, and you cross the creek, and now you're climbing a mountain. It is a magical place.
I want to go there. I haven't been. I've driven through that area and seen it on the map. And until I read about that, I didn't even know there was these dunes that pop up outside of otherwise, non-desert areas. But we'll be right back with more on the Gun Shop Show.
Land is everything to me. When I was born, I was brought home to the family farm, was raised, learned work ethic there, learned appreciation and respect for life and the land itself, and it just became second nature. I had to be there all the time. Whenever I wasn't on the land, I was not happy. But I learned to understand the land, learned to respect it, learned family values. My wife and I have bought a farm besides the one we live on, and it has just been it's been a great investment, and it's been someplace that my son and I have shared the passion of hunting together, and it's just land has been everything in my life. It has kind of kept me focused and gave me a place to be. It's kind of kept me grounded.
Hey, you know what makes this, the Gun Shop Show, possible? It's people who believe in the show. And someone who has believed in the show from the very beginning is my good friend Chris Chapman, owner of Whitehead Farm Supply. Here's a message from Chris.
Guys, my name's Chris Chapman, owner of Whitehead Farm Supply, and I just want to take a few seconds here to let you know that we are going to be proud sponsors of the Gun Shop Show, and we appreciate everything that them guys are doing over there, and we just want to show them our support. Thank you.
So whether you have 2 chickens or 2,000 acres, Chris is your man. Give him a call. I guess that's pretty much the ad.
Whitehead Farm Supply.
Seriously?
Always.
Listen here, Pilgrim. This here is the Gun Shop Show.
Welcome back on the Gun Shop Show. We're going to get more into it with our guest, Caleb Stillians, Alaskan hunting guide. I've got some bear hunting related questions. But first, I want to remind you that you can win a Ruger American 270 right now by sharing the feed, tagging 5 of your friends on Facebook. All you do is click share. It's going to allow you to still watch the feed. You're still going to see us. It's not going to take you out of it. It's going to share it onto your timeline. And then right in the comments, just start typing your friends' names. It's going to allow those to autofill into a tag, so they're going to get notified, hey, your friend just tagged you in a live stream, and then they could check out the show and see if it's for them. Caleb, I've never been bear hunting. We don't have, we do have some bears in Missouri, but I don't come across them regularly. It would be remiss of us on the Gun Shop Show to not talk about what kind of gun a guy might want to use to hunt bears.
Okay, so you're going to want, so hunting barrels and guiding's 2 different things. So the hunting barrels, minimum caliber 301 mag, 375 is pretty much the highest you're going to go. You don't really need a 416, but finding that sweet spot of the gun that has enough power to take the barrel down, but doesn't beat you to death. Like you don't want to be scared of the gun. Bullet placement still beats velocity. So if you can't put the bullet where it needs to go, doesn't do you any good. So usually I tell people, go out, start with a 301 mag, shoot some friends' guns, and figure out what gun you shoot the best, 301 mag in bigger, and go with that gun. So there's not really too much. Pretty much any gun that's bigger than that works. What I personally carry is I have an offensive gun and a defensive gun, and I got several of those, so I kind of pick and choose. So say I'm going into like this crazy thick brush, I have a 338 Federal AR-10 Action built up, so it's 16-inch barrel cut down, so I can put a lot of rounds on target if I need to. If that barrel pops up at 15 yards and is running at me, I can ta-ta-ta-ta-ta and be good. Typically what I carry as a guide is a 375 Ruger, and that's just kind of my all-around gun. It's kind of a mixture, so if I need to go out and shoot a 300-yard shot, no problem. If I need to shoot a 20-yard shot, 10-yard shot, no problem. And then an offensive gun is typically I carry either a 338 1 mag or a 300 1 mag, and that's kind of just for shooting out in distance. So
I speculate that there are times when you're targeting bear, when a hunter wants to go seek out to take a bear. There's also times when you're hunting other things, but just knowing you may encounter a bear inadvertently. But let's go down the list. What are things that you guide for? What animals do you seek?
Okay, so brown bear, grizzly bear, and I can kind of go over the difference between the two if you want to.
I'm completely ignorant, but let's come back to that.
Okay, black bear, wolf, moose, doll sheep, and goat.
I saw that you were packing out some moose rack there, and I think people, myself included, if you've never been up close to a moose, they don't realize how huge of an animal they are.
Massive.
Go to Springfield, downtown, drive by that moose statue at Bass Pro, and then that gives you an idea. If you're around here and you don't know, drive by that and realize that there's bigger moose than that even.
And that's hard to believe. So, okay, I was going to admit, even though I don't want to, grizzly bears are brown generally, right? Mm-hmm. And brown bears are brown, but they're not the same thing.
They're the same subspecies, but they're not the same thing. So what's happened is it's kind of so you have this big mountain range that kind of separates the interior of Alaska and the exterior of Alaska. So these bears have this natural barrier where the bears that are on the ocean, it doesn't get as cold because you have all the wind, all the warm air coming off of the ocean, so it keeps it warmer. So it's a little bit more hospitable. The winters are not as bad. And on top of that, you have that huge food source of everything that's washing up on the beach. They're the first one to get hit by the salmon, and then the last one to leave. So the fish come in early, and then they wash out later. So they have more food, which has allowed them over, whatever you believe, a few thousand years or a few million years, whatever. It's allowed them to get bigger. So you're looking at a bear, a big brown bear is like 10 to 11 foot. Every now and then a 12-footer will get killed, and not very often, but it happens. So between 1,000 to 1,500 pounds, give or take, whatever. A grizzly bear is on the opposite side of that natural land barrier, and it's an interior bear. And what happens is the winters get colder. So here's a good example. Anchorage is typically doesn't get too much colder than like 10 below, 20 below, which, sometimes it gets cold on that. You go up to like the Copper Valley, you're looking at 50 below, way more snow just pounding, and it's a lot, and you got permafrost, you got less food. The moose are fewer and farther between, so the bears don't get as big because the food source is not there, and then they have to den up longer throughout the year. So that's the difference. The same subspecies, but size evolution has allowed one bear to get bigger and one bear is a little bit smaller.
To be clear, which side of those mountains is the grizzly bear?
North side.
So he's actually the smaller bear.
Mm-hmm. He's the smaller bear, yep. If a grizzly bear and a brown bear got in a fight, and ceteris paribus, same attitude, all things being equal, the brown bear is going to kick the grizzly bear's butt because he's got 500 pounds on him.
I see. So size is bigger. That's something I didn't know. I think I think the most people would, if you said which is bigger, a grizzly bear or a brown bear?
Grizzly bear.
It has that connotation to the casual observer. Is there a difference in temperament between the two bears?
So bears, not really between the two. Typically, the grizzly is going to be a little bit more hot-headed because he has to hunt more for his food, where a brown bear gets to walk down the beaches and eat stuff that washes up. So that's typically, you could say a grizzly bear might be a little bit more hot-headed, but you can't really say that for sure. But how I describe bears to people is that bears are just like people. There's people that are like laid back and like act like they stoned all the time and just don't care about anything, and there's bears like that. And then you have some that are like really like something's wrong with them, like they just looking to get into a fight. Something's not settling, and there's bears like that, just like those people, like, and those are the ones you have to watch. And then there's those mama bears. If you mess with mama's little boy, you gotta watch out because she's coming. So it's the same thing.
That mama bear figure of speech or turn of phrase really comes from reality. Yeah. Another animal on Earth that has such a wide variety of temperaments and I really call it personalities is chickens.
Chickens?
Yeah, chickens. If you have just a flock of chickens, it doesn't matter if you got 6 or 30, you quickly learn that they each have their nature. And if I would have been prepared for that, I would have told Trevor to look up. I had this little red hen who wanted to be around me all the time. Super friendly, like would let you pick her up and pet her. But when I got to the point where when I was working on something on the farm, it wasn't really a farm, but a little homestead we had chickens. She would jump up on my shoulder, and I have a picture of her. I just took a selfie, and I got this chicken on my shoulder. She wanted to look at whatever I was working on, and she would come up and like look over my shoulder. And so you'd have chickens like that, and then you would have ones that you would have thought that you like physically abused them or you were a predator because they would like be all sketched out when you come outside and start crowing and try to convince the other chickens to run away from you. And so it's not really a problem other than you'll get a rooster every now and then that'll have an attitude and want to flog you, but the worst you're going to have is like some mild discomfort. Dealing with that much variety and something that can kill you like that, is a whole nother ball game.
All I got stuck on is that he's got a parrot as a chicken.
That's basically that's basically I had a pet chicken, and
it sounds like a smart chicken.
It was smart. Yeah, she was really smart. And maybe during the break, we'll see if we can't find that picture of me with that chicken sitting on my shoulder. But let's continue to go down. Of all of the species you mentioned that you guide for, what is the one you probably enjoy the most?
So it's I got 3 of them because I can't really pick one, because Dall sheep is like the most majestic animal, especially up in the Brook Trains, because you can see forever, crazy pretty views. Toughness wise, the mountain goat, it's just like, so that one's more like it makes you tougher, so I enjoy that, because it's gonna suck. You gotta go through some crazy thick stuff, some devil's club that's got little thorns that's gonna break off inside you, and you gotta be willing to be like, okay, it sucks in the now, but it's not that bad. And then the brown bear has just always been my favorite animal, so just getting to hunt something that's so majestic to yourself, it's probably, if I had to pick one to only hunt again, it'd probably be the brown bear, because it's something about when you're sneaking up 50 yards away from an animal that could end you with one swipe in 2 seconds, you're done. This is something like respectful about it, because you're a hunter and he's a hunter, so it's more like this is a game. If I really screw up, he's gonna get me, but if I do everything right, I'm gonna be able to harvest that animal.
So when we get back from the break, I want to talk about that. And then there's a reverence amongst hunters for nature that I don't think non-hunters, especially people who think that hunting is immoral or wrong, or that hunters do it with this sort of like wasteful, I'm just trying to kill something mentality, when that's generally not true. That's not true of the culture in hunting. And in fact, most hunters, when they see something like that going on, like someone poaching or someone just killing to be killing. I mean, I remember growing up really young, shooting some kind of little songbird with a BB gun, and just my grandparents making me clean, and they were going to make me eat it right at the last second. They didn't make me eat this little bird, but they were proving to me that hunting is for a reason, and you got to do it respectfully. So when we get back, let's talk about that on the Gun Shop Show.
Hey, podcast listeners and live stream viewers. I wanted to let you know that the Gun Shop Show is made possible by our friends at Mid-America RV. Being in the customer service industry, I have a really high standard for how customers are treated. Mid-America RV does it right. I've got my RV through their dealership, and I've taken it all over the country. We made it to South Padre Island. We've gone to Colorado several times. And if you've ever owned an RV, you know there's a lot that comes with it. So who you get it from matters, and it's extremely important that you have support after the sale. They're located just outside of Carthage. They have a really vast inventory, and they are home of, I believe they call it a forever warranty. So I urge you, if you're in the market for one, to check them out. It's a really fun and can be very affordable way to get your trips in. So visit them at midamericarv.com. We appreciate their support of the Gun Shop Show. If you're in the market for a travel trailer or fifth wheel, check out Mid-America RV.
Buckle up, because belts just got better with Core Essentials. The perfect fit every time, with 40 plus sizing positions. Styles for any situation. Whether in the boardroom crushing sales and taking names, on your next adventure in the great outdoors, or when you're done for the day and ready to relax. Get your perfect fit with Core Essentials.
People are always asking me, Eli, you seem to get the best deals on things. What is your secret?
Glory actions and estate sales.
Trevor, I appreciate you jingling, but I have to say the ad part first because people need to know about the company.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to do that.
And then also, it's it's covering up my face. So
right.
just get a picture like from their Facebook page, because that's the best place, and then just put it right up here where the Gun Shop Show logo is. Okay.
Yeah. All right, I'll do better this
time.
Then
so let me finish the ad, and then you can jingle. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the best place to go is their Facebook page.
Oh, glory actions and estate sales.
You know what? Fine. I'll just move in between the graphics and finish telling people that the best place to find out when
Old Glory auctions and estate sales. I think I got it that time, man.
Our member's girlfriend is on her way to pick up her kids from her ex-husband's house. She asked our member to tag along because of her ex's temper. As they arrive at the home, her ex emerges yelling and gesturing. He approaches his ex-wife and grabs her, attempting to drag her inside. Fearing for her life, our member, a trained CHL holder, jumps out of the car with his gun drawn and demands the ex-husband release her. Seeing the gun, the assailant retreats. The situation then takes a bizarre turn as the assailant dials 911 to report our member. As a result of the aggressor's lies, our member was wrongfully arrested. Our member had to undergo lengthy legal proceedings. However, he was ultimately cleared of all charges.
Hey everybody, it's Eli at Liberty Tree Guns here at 530 West Fur Road in Carthage, Missouri, and I want to show you a gun collection that we just bought from an individual. A little bit of everything in this one. We wrote a check for 22 guns. Got some newer lever guns, cool Henry Silver Boy, some older shotguns. This is a cool old 410 double barrel. This was a good mix. There was some newer type stuff, some old stuff here, some black powder, some cool Colt, black powder revolvers, newer Rugers, Mark IIIs, PMR 30, Taurus Judge, couple of Taurus revolvers, got a long slide 1911 right here, and then got this cool Llama 45. We just sold the sister to that gun in 38 Super. This particular individual, this is half the collection that we bought from him. And so I just want to remind you that we pay top dollar for entire collection. So we'll buy one gun or 100 from you, and we can offer consignment where we sort of establish what these guns are worth and we pay you out when they sell. Or in the case of this one, we offered consignment, we discussed it, and then we offered a cash price, which was a little bit less than the consignment settlement price, but it's quick. It was one check and we paid those all out to this individual. And probably the biggest, baddest, coolest one of the whole mix was this Bushmaster BA 50. So we have everything from little antique 22s to 50 cals in this one collection. I want to remind you that we'd love a chance to buy your collection. Find us at libertytreeguns.com or here on Fur Road in Carthage, Missouri. See you soon.
The Gun Shop Show costs money to make, and the Gun Shop Show is brought to you by pecans and cheese. Not really. Actually, we didn't have any sponsors for this segment, and so I decided that I would take a snack break. And also, I decided if you guys are tired of listening to me eat cheese and nuts, that you need to buy an ad. So from now on, if our ad sponsorships don't sell out, you're going to have to listen to me eat nuts and cheese. In order to sponsor the Gun Shop Show, send us an email at thegunshopshow@gmail.com.
Next week, chips.
Hey all, it's Mel with Pro Outfitters. Once again, I'm on the go, but I always make time for the Gun Shop Show.
The Gun Shop Show, the Gun Shop Show. What is it? We don't know. The Gun Shop Show, the Gun Shop Show. Here we go, it's the Gun Shop Show.
Here we go once again. It's more of the Gun Shop Show. Giving away a hunting rifle on a day when we're talking about hunting. Now, you might not want to take this after brown bears or grizzly bears, but it'll take just about anything here in Missouri or the Midwest, and that is a Ruger American rifle N270, and you can get that for free today. This is a brand new gun. We got the box right here, if I can handle all this. Brand new in the box. You're going to win that today by sharing the feed and tagging 5 friends. And as always, we announce the winner of last week's prize on each show. So coming up today, we'll announce the winner of the 9mm Remington RP9 pistol that we gave away on the last show. So stay tuned for that. But I want to get back into this discussion with our guest, Caleb Stillians. We were talking about, before the break, the respect that a hunter has for the task at hand. And although there's a very primal thing about taking game that does bring you a thrill and a joy, but it's not, I don't think it's the same kind of thrill that someone might imagine someone killing like an innocent dog or something for sport or for fun. It's a different thing, and it's born out of respect for nature. It's born out of our relationship with nature, and many times hunters are the very best conservationists because they want to see these populations and these species thrive so that they'll be available for this pastime of hunting. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I'm going to equate it. So a lot of times in life, you got to get your hands dirty, they improve. And it's the same way in animals. So if you are greening, like leave everything, like don't kill an animal. Well, sometimes in that you end up harming the population as a whole. So let's use brown bear hunting or grizzly bear hunting, for example, because that's what I'm most familiar with. So you have a brown bear, a big male brown bear, and that's the only thing I shoot. He's going out there and he wants to breed. That's his main goal in life, is to breed and just keep breeding. He will go and he will kill his own cubs and he will kill other bears' cubs so he can put that sow back in heat, because the sow goes out of heat while she's got cubs, and that typically takes her out of heat between 2 to 3 years. So wow. He wants to breed again. So he comes across a sow that's got 2 cubs. He's going to kill both those 2 cubs, so then she goes back in heat and he can breed her. So by picking and choosing what bear you want to kill and only killing those big ones, you can take that and you can actually help the population as bears as a whole and make the numbers go up, because you're taking away that animal that's at the end of its life cycle. He's an old bear. He's only got 5 years left, maybe even less, maybe more. But now you have this cub that's just getting started. So you take him out. He's not going to kill, say, those 5 cubs. Or just pick 5 and random number. Now those cubs can grow up and replace that population. So you're taking away 1 card and then you're letting 5 more come up. So you add a positive net 4, which is way better than letting that one that's eating a lot of resources, that's just taken away at that point in his life, and letting ones that can give back now come in.
So that's interesting because, you compare the harvest in Missouri for deer, and overpopulation becomes an issue for the herd itself, not just for humans. I mean, overpopulation is a problem where they'll do property damage and they'll get on the highways, but it's a population issue for the species themselves, because they become overgrown. There's not enough food source. There's not enough natural predators in our area to kill deer, because it's not like it was a few hundred years ago where we had wolves and things that would take out deer. So humans are sort of the only major predator. I mean, other things kill deer, but as far as in big numbers, humans do it. So hunters design the harvest and the conservation of those to say they need to be manageable numbers so the deer can eat and be healthy, and so that the DNA of the healthiest, best deer move on. But that's actually culling hundreds of thousands of deer a year just in the state of Missouri. But what's interesting about what you just described is you're actually, by harvesting one, increasing the population of brown bears. How is the population of brown bears? Are they do people consider them endangered, or is it healthy? Or?
No, they're super healthy. So I'm not going to claim to be a biologist, but I know several biologists up in Alaska, and they know their job very well. So if there was an increase in the population and that goes above what that area can support, then they typically give out more tags. So more of those bears need to be taken out, or if it goes down, tags are going to get taken away. So those biologists up there in Alaska have their finger on the pulse of pretty much every species up there, and they got everything squared away. So it fluctuates. Missouri, the deer population is just so exploded that typically if you want to buy a tag, you can buy a tag in the state. Alaska is not the same way. If population goes down, a hard winter comes through and kills a lot of animals, you might not get a tag in that unit this year. So
yeah, and I've heard that for these prize hunts and these experiences that are scarce, there's only a limited number, then that the value of that opportunity goes up, and not everybody gets to do it, which makes what you do even that more special as a life experience. So you get to not only do it yourself, but you get to witness other people once in a lifetime opportunities. That's got to be an awesome front row seat for you.
Oh yeah, I can think of this one story. There's a little girl. She was like 12 and taking her on a black bear hunt. It was so cute. And this bear was walking by, and then she's like, "Can we shoot it? Can we shoot it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can shoot it." And just like seeing her face like this light up, like from going from there to an old man. So I guided one of the episodes, the fourth episode, JD. That was his hunt of a lifetime. He saved up 4 years to go hunt that grizzly bear, and we got him a huge grizzly. And just getting to witness both spectrum. This little girl that her dad bought the hunt, how happy she was, to a 69-year-old man, how happy he was. It's this hunting brings so much joy, and it's like you were saying, it's out of respect for the animal. You're not just going out there and like, boom, haha, got you. It's like, boom, I just took that life. But how awesome is this that I'm getting to do what my ancestors did for however long, and I get to still be a part of that? Because if you think about it, when people attack hunting, it's kind of an oddity that they don't hunt if you look at life as a whole.
Yeah, they are the exception in human history.
Yeah.
That's one of the things like I want to always point out is like this just became even up for debate in the last 30 years, but like it wasn't even the discussion 100 years ago. I mean, my own grandfather hunted for subsistence, just the American Depression era to eat. In fact, a lot of Americans did. It was hard times, and in fact, the wildlife population way diminished. The deer were wiped out, turkeys were wiped out, and that was just because they needed it for food and
to survive. Yeah.
So, but it is amazing to me to think that this thing is being labeled more and more as abnormal and getting banned from different platforms. I don't know if you've had any trouble with YouTube,
Not yet.
But I know some horror stories of people, Instagram pages getting shut down and YouTube restricting results because there's dead animals on there. And it's just hard to believe that for thousands of years we've done this, and now that we can document it and share it with the world, it's open for debate somehow. It's kind of a strange turn of events.
Well, it's people wanting the baby code everything. So it's like, okay, you can't have any violence. That's why there's been a big push for like no guns on stuff. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Having guns is what separates our country. So why we have so much, like in World War II, Japan, they were thinking about coming over here. Again, this is me paraphrasing it. But literally one of their generals said, we can't go over there because behind every blade of grass, there will be a gun. So having that warrior mentality has been here, and now it's, for whatever reason, it's become unpopular, and they're trying to weed it out. The same way with hunting. For whatever reason, it's not the hip thing to be in, so we're going to try to weed it out and silence it when that's how it's always been. And the reason why we've moved forward as a country is because we had that.
Yeah, there seems to be a cycle where tough people bear prosperous times, and then people who come up in prosperous times become soft and then reject the very things that made that prosperity possible, and then therefore the prosperity disappears because that toughness is gone, that reality is gone. You start making an enemy, literally biting the hand that feeds you in terms of economics and history and all of that. I don't want to get off into that because that's sort of the negative side. There's so much awesome stuff about what you do.
Well, can I touch on that a second?
Yeah.
So the cool thing about that yeah, it is a cycle and it takes you to a negative place, but yet you can start it again. So the saying I believe goes is strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create bad times, and bad times create strong men. So even no matter what cycle you're in, you know it can still go back up. So even though it is kind of a negative trend, which men or women, everyone's involved, you can still stop it at that point and say, okay, we're going to raise our kids different. We're going to teach our kids how to use guns. We're going to bring that into the family. We're going to teach them. We're going to get them in jiu-jitsu. So now if there is bullying in school, instead of having to go hide in the corner and cry, they can be like, hey, I don't want to fight. I don't want to okay, boom, I got you an armbar now. And as they grow up into adults, they can come to the Liberty Tree and get their gun. And now if there is that situation, they've had the training, they've talked to the right people, and they can defend themselves and defend others people and be a sheepdog and not a sheep.
I love it, and you're exactly right. Just because the trend is one way doesn't mean you, as the individual, can't be different. More on The Gun Shop Show. Hey everyone, The Gun Shop Show is brought to you by Carthage Lock and Key. If you need anything to do with a lock or a key
to success.
Did they tell you to say that?
No, I just thought it sounded good.
They have a mobile service, so they can come to you and cut pretty much any kind of key
to success.
Or if you lock your keys in your car.
Success.
I'm talking even security modern chip keys.
To success!
Trevor, could you just jingle the name of the business?
Okay. Yeah, I'll do it good this time.
So, with all of my properties and all of the needs I have, I trust
Carthage Lock and Key to success!
Our evenings, or often on weekends, are spending Friday and Saturday nights on the deck with our friends. Before, everybody would be crowded. We could barely sit together. We were walking on top of each other if everybody was on the deck. Now there's plenty of room for everyone to roam around and relax comfortably and have plenty of space.
Specifically, I know that every post they bury to a certain depth with full concrete. They use 6x6 posts, strapping and hurricane strapping on everything. It's how I feel a deck should be built if it's going to be built right.
Hey everybody, Eli here, and I'm really excited to tell you that the Gun Shop Show is brought to you by one of my favorite places on earth. Located here in my hometown of Carthage on the beautiful historic square, the Emporium on the square, and the Woodshed. It's a art gallery, an event center, a gift shop. They have art classes, and there's very unique Americana artwork from famous artists like Andy Thomas. They handle a lot of his originals. Framing just has this incredible old school vibe, and you can feel the history coming through. You have to check out the art gallery, but then as you work your way to the back, my favorite part, the Woodshed, had a lot of great meals in here. They've got burgers. I love their catfish. Excellent. Chicken and waffles even. It's incredible. And it's also a music venue, so we got to see my favorite band of all time, the Ben Miller Band. Ceiling was literally raining down. They were rocking so hard. But the best thing, owned by one of my favorite people on earth, that's Cherry Babcock. Check out the Emporium on the Square and the Woodshed.
This just in. Huge cave found beneath the heart of the city. Spelunkers shared tales of an underground cavern system in Carthage, Missouri. Locals report the entrance to be at 10th and Garrison.
Cave Gang Pizza. Stop in and enjoy wings, wood-fire pizza made with local ingredients, and our full bar. Bring the whole gang and uncover a legend.
The Gun Shop Show, brought to you by Little Old Ladies. They're little, and they're old. They're little old ladies.
Welcome back to The Gun Shop Show. I'm your host, Eli Bruton, owner of Liberty Tree Guns, where we are your friends in the gun business. And we're coming to you from inside of the best gun shop in the world, Liberty Tree Guns. And we're giving away a gun today. This is a Ruger American 270 brand new in the box, probably about a $400 value, $450 maybe. And people who just discovered the show think that sounds too good to be true. Like, how long is the giveaway? That's literally for this one show. So if you go to Facebook, you're cruising around in your car and you're hearing this on the radio, pull over, type in Liberty Tree Guns on Facebook. You're going to see the live stream, which is the same thing that you see on TV, and you're going to get a view of this gun. You're going to be able to see our guests inside of the store, all of these guns behind me. You're going to click share. You're going to tag 5 of your friends. And when you do, you get entered to win this gun. And that's just the people who share this one episode. And sometimes the odds are really good. So a lot better chance of winning this than you have of hitting it lucky at the casino. So jump in there, do that. That helps us spread the word. It gets more support for great people making great things happen, like our guest, Caleb Stillians. Caleb, we've gotten off on some great topics, but tell us, you obviously, for a young man, have had a lot of success achieving some things that you set your mind to. How are you able to accomplish that? And while you talk, I'd like to have Trevor put on screen some of the images from your Instagram, that sort of paint this life that you live.
Okay, yeah. So I would say one of the biggest things is realizing, so this is what I would say, 4th step. I'm going to kind of try to go through steps. No one owes you a damn thing. That's the biggest thing that people have to get over. Just because you live here doesn't mean you have anything owed to you. So there's a lot of entitlement that goes on. And as faster you can kill that, the faster it's going to start improving your life. Because if you want something, you got to go out and get it yourself, and you got to put in the work to make it happen. And then from that point, figuring out where you want to go, which is sometimes really difficult. So what I usually tell people is like, okay, so it's hard to say where you want to go, but figure out where you don't want to go. So you can look back, okay, I don't want to go here. You can look to your left, definitely don't want to go there. Look to your right, don't want to go there. Well, now your options of where you can head has just gotten smaller. So it's kind of like when you're out hunting. Okay, I'm definitely not dropping off in that ravine, and I'm not going off in that ravine. Now I have this general direction I'm going in. So as you go through life and go through your steps, you start narrowing it down, and before you know it, you're on the path that you need to be. So you kind of take that, and you got to really just like figure out your drive, and it's like, okay, so one thing that sometimes I will run into is I will be looking at someone my age. I'm 23, so I'll be looking at another 23-year-old. I'm like, I'm kicking his butt. Like I can put on cruise control, and you got to stop that. Once you start getting a little bit of success, if you do those first 2 things, the success is going to start coming, because no one owes you a thing. You got to put in the work, and then you going in this direction. You're figuring it out, whether it's walking out a gun shop, becoming a gunsmith, or nursing industry, whatever you're choosing to be in. But once you hit that kind of like where it's cruising speed, being able to be like, okay, I don't want to cruise right here, because if I cruise right here, if you try to stay the same, you're either going to start sliding back, or you're going to stay the same. And no one wants to stay the same. So like having that fortitude to keep going.
Yeah, my wife has said before, she said you used to get a little bit frustrated because I felt like you would never be content. And then she said, I realized what makes you do things different is the fact that it's never quite good enough. You know you can do better. And you sort of build on, sometimes it's that beginning, okay, I just got started, so I'm already ahead of 99% of people because I just tried. And then once you get there, you could stop and just bask in the glory of that. But then there's a whole nother tier that you haven't pushed yourself to do. So I would agree with that. And it does come from that mentality of nobody's going to do it for you. Also, I think there's a little bit of fear aspect of once you admit to yourself that it's not because this other person did you wrong, it's not because your boss is a jerk, or it's literally all on you, and you have no one else to answer to. That's a scarier feeling than living behind the comfort of, well, I can just say I came from from people with no money, or my circumstance was bad, or I'm not naturally good at this, and so all of these things are reasons I can't succeed. If you strip all that away, you're very vulnerable until you start to experience some of that success. And I think a lot of people are scared of that moment of just admitting that it's you.
Oh yeah. And then even once you start to get some success, you still feel it. Like, I'm nervous as all get out to come on the show, but it's like, okay, I could have been like, Logan, sorry, I don't want to do this, or I would never reach out to Logan. Or you can put yourself. So there's this thing I really agree with. It's, you can judge somebody's quality of life and success in life by the willing of uncomfortable conversations they are willing to have. Because anything that's worth doing is going to make you uncomfortable. Because if it wasn't, then everybody would be doing it.
It's kind of like working out. Like, if it doesn't hurt you a little, you're not working out hard enough. You know, if you don't want to get sore, then you don't want to get stronger. And your relationships are that way. In fact, the best friends are the people that tell you the things that you don't really want to hear, or you don't want to admit to yourself. You know, people that aren't really your friends will talk about you behind your back, tell you the things that they think are negative, and then tell you everything you want to hear to your face. But your friend is the guy that says, look, bud, you can do better. Or this thing you did, that's bullcrap. And it's hard to find that kind of friend that cares about you enough to say, this might damage the short term, or even I will risk the entirety of our friendship to tell you this uncomfortable thing. And I think a lot of people don't realize they look at somebody that has it good, that's made it, and think, oh man, their life is so great. But it takes a lot to get to that.
I think that having just one of those friends that are willing to tell you the negative things and help you improve are better than having 10 to even 20 just okay fake friends.
Absolutely. I think one thing that a lot of people might want to consider doing is look at each person you spend time with and decide if they actually want the best for you. Because if they're just there to like sponge off whatever, they drain in you. And there's this saying that I really believe in: you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you only have one friend that's like that, and you have 20 friends that are just drawing from you, that 19, the 20 other friends are gonna take more of your time away. So maybe you should cut them off, limit their time. Like, don't just like, oh, I never want to talk to you again, but limit your time with them and spend time with people that have your best interest in mind, that want to see you go and want to see you succeed.
We've been showing a lot on screen your Instagram page. So these are experiences, obviously, and these are pictures of you. There's so much on Instagram where people are projecting experiences or life that they have when they don't really, but you clearly do. And we're going to have to get back into it on the break, but some beautiful images, both of wildlife and of scenery. And you, I see some martial arts related things we can get into when we get back from the break. Stay with us. More with Caleb Stillians on the Gun Shop Show.
People are always asking me, Eli, you seem to get the best deals on things. What is your secret?
Glory actions and estate sales.
Trevor, I appreciate you jingling, but I have to say the ad part first because people need to know about the company.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to do that.
And then also, it's it's covering up my face. So
right.
just get a picture like from their Facebook page, because that's the best place, and then just put it right up here where the Gun Shop Show logo is. Okay.
Yeah. All right, I'll do better this
time.
Then
so let me finish the ad, and then you can jingle. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the best place to go is their Facebook page.
Oh, glory actions and estate sales.
You know what? Fine. I'll just move in between the graphics and finish telling people that the best place to find out when
Old Glory actions and estate sales. I think I got it that time, man.
Land is everything to me. When I was born, I was brought home to the family farm, was raised, learned work ethic there, learned appreciation and respect for life and the land itself, and it just became second nature. I had to be there all the time. Whenever I wasn't on the land, I was not happy. But I learned to understand the land, learned to respect it, learned family values. My wife and I have bought a farm besides the one we live on, and it has just been it's been a great investment, and it's been someplace that my son and I have shared the passion of hunting together. And it's just land has been everything in my life. It has kind of kept me focused and gave me a place to be. It's kind of kept me grounded.
Hey, you know what makes this, the Gun Shop Show, possible? It's people who believe in the show. And someone who has believed in the show from the very beginning is my good friend Chris Chapman, owner of Whitehead Farm Supply. Here's a message from Chris.
Guys, my name's Chris Chapman, owner of Whitehead Farm Supply, and I just want to take a few seconds here to let you know that we are going to be proud sponsors of the Gun Shop Show, and we appreciate everything that them guys are doing over there, and we just want to show them our support. Thank you.
So whether you have 2 chickens or 2,000 acres, Chris is your man. Give him a call. I guess that's pretty much the ad.
Whitehead Farm Supply.
Seriously?
Welcome back to the Member's Voice. This week, John, one of our Florida members, is going to share his experience with us firsthand. So listen up, members, because this story could be any one of us. I want you to pay close attention and make a mental note of what happened in a case like this. Here is John's story.
March 30th of last year, I was riding my motorcycle home from a group ride with my local hog chapter, and a guy in a minivan decided to pull up next to me in a bike lane and almost run me off the road. That guy proceeded to follow me 4 or 5 miles, basically cornered me in a one-way beach entrance and called the police, and I was actually arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and improper brandishment of a handgun. I went to jail that night, but before I went, my wife made probably the most important phone call of our 12-year marriage, and that was calling the phone number on the U.S. Law Shield card and getting me the representation that I needed. I'm very, very proud to say that now, as I sit before you on January 19th, both charges in my case were dropped. And had it not been for U.S. Law Shield, I can just tell you that I am a first-year U.S. Law Shield member when this had happened. I'm going to be a lifetime U.S. Law Shield member because I would not have been able to really protect myself, especially financially with the cost involved, had it not been for this program.
Thank you so much, John, for sharing your story with us. Now remember, members, if you ever have to display your firearm, you call 911 first, you give them your name, your location, and ask for the services you need. Hang up and then call the U.S. Law Shield hotline. As always, members, keep sending your story to memberstories@uslawshield.com.
Welcome back to the Gun Shop Show. We are having a great discussion with our guest today, Caleb Stillians, and I told Logan he was going to be in charge of the whole interview, but I got so...
And I've been doing a great job.
I got so interested in talking to Caleb that I didn't even realize that we were on the radio. I was just having what I felt like was a really good conversation. So we'll get more into that, but I want to remind you that you can win a gun today. Ruger American 270. All you got to do is share the feed, tag 5 friends. We're going to give it away on this episode. And also, I have the winner of last week's giveaway, which is a Remington RP9 9mm pistol, high capacity mags. And when I saw the winner's name, when Trevor went through the process of gathering all those and choosing that random winner, I thought, this winner really deserves it. I mean, all of our winners deserve it, and everybody has an equal chance. But this particular winner has been a fan of the show for a long time, and that is Miss Drum roll, please. Lulu Comer. Congratulations, Lulu.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Lulu's been a fan of the show even without getting free stuff. Been a supporter, shares the show, tells everyone about it. And we appreciate you. And you've shared every time. You shared even on days when we didn't have a giveaway prize, but it paid off, Lulu. So thank you so much. We appreciate your support of the show.
Absolutely.
We appreciate everyone's shares, because even if you don't win one giveaway, if you keep trying, you're probably going to get in and win. But also, just know that it makes a difference to us. It helps share the message of the Gun Shop Show, the preservation of the Second Amendment, and also helps promote positive things like Caleb Stillians and the awesome stuff that he's doing. Caleb, I want to continue to get in this discussion about mentality, but I want to make sure we don't neglect some of the nuts and bolts of this hunting thing, so that our audience who's here to hear gun stuff gets to hear plenty of that. So, you mentioned some of those calibers of rifles. I would presume typically bolt action rifles in the calibers that you listed?
Typically, except the 338 Federal, and then that's going to be an AR-10 platform. So semi-auto, 20-round magazine, the whole 9 yards, a 1x8 powered scope on it.
So that here's an example for people that say, why does anybody need an AR? Well, here's an example.
I'll say, have a 1,500-pound brown bow running at you, and then you're going to want that semi-automatic. Go,
Yeah, exactly, yeah. That is a great example of how just effective the semi-auto platform is when life is on the line in comparison to other designs and older designs. So all of the species, would you say that those calibers you listed are applicable to those, or do in some of the other non-bear species, do you see some other things used?
Some other things used. So if you're hunting, say, a mountain goat or a Dall sheep, you don't need a 375. A 300 Win Mag. If someone is going to buy one gun to hunt everything in North America, I would say buy the 300 Win Mag or the 300 PRC, because you can take that and you can get a heavier bullet to shoot bears with. Again, it's not ideal, but it's going to do a dang good job. And then you can load it down to 180 grain bullet and go hunt Dall sheep, mountain goat, or you can go ahead and take it down to 150 and go shoot a whitetail deer with it. So that's my personal.
That's good advice. I think a lot of people underestimate the variation in effect you can get from one cartridge by looking at different grains of bullets. So, like, for example, 243 Winchester, super popular caliber in our area. They have all the way down to 60 grain bullets in 243, which makes it a really light varmint round. But you have 100 grain and 130 grain 243 bullets, and you've got a lot more punch. So you got a lot of variation in the trajectory and the effect on a target, even within that one caliber. So I'm sure, like you mentioned, 300 Win Mag, you can use different grains, and of course you would probably have to make some adjustments in the way that you shoot in your optic, depending on the grain that you're shooting. But you could have one gun, which I don't know the process. Let's talk about the process of getting a gun to Alaska.
Okay. It's pretty simple, to be honest. So let's say you're flying out of like California or New York, which even then clients come in and don't have too much trouble. Take it in. The ATF has a list of the stuff you have to have, the locks you need to do. You get a hard-sided case that you can pick up here in your shop. I was browsing through your shop, and you had some that I could go fly with right now.
Awesome.
Put your guns in. Ammo's got to be in the box that it came from if it's factory. Flying with hand loads, so hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying this. So if you reload your own ammo and you don't have a box, go buy a box of that caliber bullet. Take those bullets, put them on the shelf, and put your. They typically don't look at that, and then put those hand loads in that factory box and fly with those.
You're exactly right. So I flew with a handgun, and a lot of people think that, you just think airlines and weapons and think you're not allowed to do that, but you actually can. Here's the thing, and you grab a pencil, write this phrase down. When you walk in the airport, you're going to want to say this phrase: I have an item to declare. So when you walk up to the counter where your check bag is going to go, trust me, you want to say, I have an item to declare. You don't want to say, I have a gun.
No.
And what they do is they inspect it and make sure it's got to be a certain kind of hard case. And what I found interesting is they want the ammo in with the gun. Which surprised me because a lot of the other transport laws, like states where they don't want you to be traveling with a loaded gun, they force you to separate them. But flying with the TSA, they want factory boxes of ammunition with your firearm. And I was privy to, because they pulled me aside for the second screening, which they don't always do, but I went into this group of guys, so it was like 4 or 5 guys in where this, off to the side of the normal TSA screening, where they were going over whether or not guns were allowed, and I was good to go. I knew it was just carrying a simple concealed carry gun locked up in a case, but what they were in the process of doing was seizing this guy's hand loads. He was headed somewhere out west, and he was just begging and pleading. Whatever caliber, he said, I can't get this where I'm flying into. I won't be able to go on this hunt that I paid money for. Please. It's no different than factory ammo. And the TSA agent was, I didn't love his attitude, but it wasn't as bad as people might imagine. He at least was like, man, I'm sorry, but that's the rules.
Yeah.
And he told the guy, he said, I'm not supposed to do this, but if there's a box back here that matches your caliber and we can put these in it, you can take it. So your theory's right.
Oh, yeah.
The rule says it's got to be in a factory box.
Yeah.
They're not going to pull it out.
I don't see them yet pulling it out.
They're not.
These are hand loads.
They wouldn't know the difference if they looked at them.
Yeah, most of the people at the ATF don't know.
Yeah, they can't tell the difference. So they want factory box, which is funny because a lot of hunters that really care about their cartridge, they're hand loading anyway.
Yeah.
But that's just an end around. So you can load those up in the factory box. I don't know if there's a limit to the amount you can take. I've never seen it listed anywhere, but for hunting, you don't need an extreme amount of ammo anyway. So pack those together. And so if you, so that just applies to flying through. Do you know anything about how to get a gun through Canada if you want to go up that way?
Avoid it. Yeah. If you can, just fly up and miss Canada, because Canada, I don't go through Canada. I try to avoid it, like I said, because I've heard some horror stories where they've taken people's guns away and they never got to see those guns again. So it's dealing with a different country that doesn't have the same belief structures as we do. So if you're gonna go into Canada, I would recommend seeking advice from people that's got more experience than I do, because I just avoid it like the plague.
Yeah, and weirdly, the ammo that they do sell in Canada, they sell at a place called Canadian Tire. Well, we did a segment. We did a segment on the show where they pointed out there was no ammo shortage in Canada, and they said you can waltz into any Canadian Tire like it's Walmart, and they're everywhere and they're on the corner. So I don't know about that, but we've got one more segment coming to you on the radio, and then we'll kick into the show overdrive. Stay with us right here on the Gun Shop Show.
Commercial idea for net fishes. I walk into the commercial director, we'll call him's office. I say to him, "Hey, how's it going?" He replies, "Good. We got your commercial ready to go. Are you ready to listen?" "Yeah, but before I do, I have an idea I want to float by you." He says, "Okay," a bit sarcastically. And I say, "All right." And I clear my throat and I start singing this song, something similar. Net fishes, we're all really good friends, hanging out and stuff, and having memories to talk about when we were young. It's net fishes. And I say the business name wrong, like fish nets. He replies, "That's terrible. And you didn't even say the right business name at the end. It's your business." Then it cuts to fish snatches. Net fishes, where we can all be friends. End commercial.
The Gun Shop Show costs money to make, and the Gun Shop Show is brought to you by pecans and cheese. Not really. Actually, we didn't have any sponsors for this segment. And so I decided that I would take a snack break. And also, I decided if you guys are tired of listening to me eat cheese and nuts, that you need to buy an ad. So from now on, if our ad sponsorships don't sell out, you're going to have to listen to me eat nuts and cheese. In order to sponsor the Gun Shop Show, send us an email at thegunshopshow@gmail.com.
Next week, chips.
Welcome back to the Gun Shop Show. This has been a fun show, making a new friend, undoubtedly, in Caleb Stillians, who has an awesome YouTube channel. Caleb, real quick, tell us, just if somebody's going to go to YouTube and find you, what exactly do they need to type in?
Okay. All you got to type in is Rise Up with Caleb Stillians, and it's going to pop it up. And actually, exciting news. I was bored yesterday. I was like, I'm going to hop on the TV and go onto a guest account so it doesn't have my profile. And I'm just going to type in Rise Up and see what happens. Typed in Rise Up, third video that popped up onto Rise Up. I was like, no freaking way.
That's quite a keyword.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a phrase that you're going to be competing with a lot of other content creators.
Absolutely.
So you've definitely made an impact there. So I want to remind our listeners real fast, you're going to want to do a couple things. I'm going to tell you two of them. You're going to want to win this gun, okay? Just like Lulu won
really
last week's gun. You're going to want to go ahead and win this.
It's a free gun.
Yeah, it's free. It's a Ruger American lifetime warranty. Caliber's .270, new in the box. All you got to do is share the feed, tag 5 friends, introduce them to the show. You know, you can say something when you tag them. You don't have to just put 5 names. You can say, hey, broskies, check out this show. I watch it every weekend, and I like to win guns, and you can too. And then they can get in here and see what this is all about. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the two things. I want you to try to win that gun. The other thing is, I want you to consider how you're going to provide legal defense for your self-defense. Our sponsor, U.S. Law Shield, and in full disclosure, of course, they are a sponsor, but this is something that, especially now, getting to know the nuts and bolts of the organization, U.S. Law Shield, I can fully endorse. I'm a member, and what it is a prepaid legal defense program with many other benefits, but the nuts and bolts is, it is a service that is going to provide to you an attorney, no caps, no minimums, to protect you if you should have to defend yourself in court for any action that you take in self-defense. So a lot of times we think concealed carry, defending from a person. They also have a service called Hunter Shield. Now, if you travel into any state, including Alaska, and you can't be doing something overtly illegal, like you can't go up there and poach and have U.S. Law Shield protect you. But if you get up there and you have a misunderstanding or you misidentify a game and you make a mistake and now your whole ability to hunt and everything is on the line and you're being charged with something criminal or charged with a wildlife code, you can be protected with U.S. Law Shield with a Hunter Shield protection. No caps, no minimums means they'll send an attorney to help defend you. No limits. So no matter how much that costs or how much time that takes, you're going to have not just any attorney. They don't just send, Billy Joe from Tractor Trailer Personal Injury Accidents down there to represent you. This is a expert person in whether it's hunting or personal defense, the laws regarding self-defense and firearms. These are all pro Second Amendment supporting attorneys. And you can get all of that as well as continuing education, as well as a hotline that you can call even in non-emergency times. So you get actually access to an attorney to answer your legal questions any day of the week. And you have a red hotline number for if I'm in trouble, if I've just acted in self-defense or I've been detained, you call, it's going to ring 24/7 to the cell phone of an expert attorney. It's $10.95 a month. So less than the cost of Netflix. And if you use the promo code LibertyTree, you're going to get 14 months for the cost of 12. So you get 2 months for free, and you get locked in where your rate can never go up. So the cost of defending things in court, the cost of attorney fees goes up every year. It costs a little bit more to defend yourself from a criminal or civil prosecution. But when you sign up using the promo code LibertyTree, then you just do that by going to uslawshield.com, clicking join now. And while you're joining, there's a promo code slot. You type in LibertyTree, all one word. You're going to get locked in. So regardless of what costs do, we've seen the cost of everything this year go through the roof. Building materials, ammo. It's proof that when the need goes up, so does the price sometimes. And if you get locked in with platinum protection by using the promo code LibertyTree, your price will never go up. Recommend that you do that. All of our staff here are U.S. Law Shield members. I'm a U.S. Law Shield member, and I highly recommend it. Logan, I think you had a few more questions for our great guest, Caleb.
Yeah, I did. Caleb, how many hunts have you been on?
Oh, that's
or guided hunts. How many hunts have you guided?
That's tough. I honestly couldn't even give you a good answer,
Really?
but it's getting in.
Must be a high number.
It's getting in the hundreds.
Hundreds?
So yeah.
Wow. Which hunt would you say stands out to you the most as your favorite hunt, and what makes it any different than any of your other hunts that you've been on?
So I think probably my favorite, because that's a tough question, but it's this goat hunt that I remember in my mind. It's we got dropped off on the riverbed, and you're looking up and you see the mountain way the heck up there, and you know you got to go up to the top because you can look through your spotting scope and you can see these goats.
Mm-hmm.
But that mountain ridge is literally called Misery Ridge, and they didn't name it that for fun. So you're looking up there and you're like, holy crap, that thing is straight up and down. So you get started, you get going, and then you run into Devil's Club. And Devil's Club is this plant that's got like these little like thorns and stuff that will break off in your skin, and you're like, well, crap, there's no other way. We've got to go through it. So you're sitting there with your trekking pole trying to get them broke down as much as you can before you walk in them. Of course, you get covered in your face, you're all over the place. And then you go up, and all of a sudden there's a deadfall. Now you got to climb over all those dead trees that are going out every which way. But you got to keep going. So it's like the tougher. This is something that at least holds true for me. I don't know about most people, but the tougher and the suckier it is in the moment, it seems like the better memory it is down the road. So we just keep going up the mountain. And anyways, the client's starting to feel down because it's a tough hunt at this point. So I start singing this little song. It's like, Billy Goat, what's my name? And that's all I have for right now. Get up a little higher up the mountain. This is an all-day climb. This is like 12 hours to get up to the top.
Yeah.
And then a little bit later, I was like, okay, this client's feeling down again. So I'm like, Billy Goat, what's my name? I'm about to put a bullet in your brain. And this keeps going on. And we go up, and finally we, getting close to camp, and I go ahead and finish the song. Billy Goat, what's my name? Blah, blah. Shoot him up, now you're dead, blah, blah, blah. And then I run out of things. Like, I don't know where to go. I'm not a songwriter. So we find this goat.
You paid for a hunt, not a song. So you can't complain.
Oh, yeah. And my singing's excellent, by the way. It's superb. But we get up there and we find this big Billy. Like, he's 10-inch old. Like, that's a big full Billy goat. We get up. He shoots it. I'm like, okay, you look like you single-lunged him, maybe double-lunged him. Shoot him again. He reloads. He shoots. And as I'm looking through my binoculars, no kidding, the bullet hits him dead between the eyes. And I'm like, no.
That's not what you're supposed to do.
No. It's like, I didn't mean to. I was like, so that was like, that subconscious must have been playing. I was literally singing the whole way up the mountain, shoot him in the brain, and that's what happens.
Wow, yeah. So undoubtedly he ruined what he could have had as a mount.
Yeah.
Well, taxidermists today are freaking phenomenal. Those guys are artists. So we ended up finding the other part of the horn, so it was like broken off a little bit at the base because it was way away from the animal, but we looked long enough and found it. So the right taxidermist is going to be able to fix that all up, and you won't ever be able to know. So
wow, that's impressive. Funny, and it might be a lesson in the power of the subconscious.
It's huge
because it's true, and I think it's true that when we let negative things creep into our thinking, that it has more of it. We might think, oh, that was a fleeting thought, but it keeps happening. And it creeps into our actions, creeps into what we do. And that, who knows, that may have been the case with him. Like you said that over and over. Now he's in the moment, and you feel like we climbed this mountain all day, and that's what we repeated so that we could put up with this miserable experience to get here. And then probably something in the mechanics of his brain did that.
It's that neural pathway. So even if he was like, okay, I need that double lung, it'll shoot it in the heart. Sometimes that neural pathways just take over, like boom. So it's like that negative talk that you talk to yourself, you got to work on killing it and replacing it with positive talk, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and I think that's why you teach, they teach kids to repeat things that are positive enforcement, and even just go through chants and songs, because it instills it at a deeper level than what our conscious brain understands. Like you can tell somebody something, but we'll have to internalize that, to get it to permeate. So we have about a minute left on the radio. I want to make sure, and we'll come back in the show overdrive if you still have time.
Yeah.
But anything that we want to capture, make sure in the last minute, in case there's somebody that can't join us for the show overdrive.
I would say hunt more, get after it. You only got one shot, one life on this earth, and then you go into the afterlife, and what do you believe of that? That's what you believe. But don't wait. There's a quote by Patton. A violently executed plan today is way better than a perfectly executed plan next week. So whatever it is you're thinking about doing, if it's buying that new gun or if it's starting that business, do it now. Make sure it's not a bad decision, but don't wait for the perfect timing, because the lights in life won't ever always be green. There's going to be a mixture. There's going to be some reds, and you just got to figure out how to get through those reds.
I love it. I love the attitude, and the attitude is shown through the work and all that you've been able to accomplish. Thanks for joining us, and stay with us for the show overdrive.
Kids are curious by nature. Do your part to prevent unwanted tragedy from striking in your home by doing these simple tasks. Consider gun locks and/or gun safes for storage of firearms. Don't leave your guns unattended where children could reach them. Discuss with your children the rules of firearm safety. Sign your kids up for hunter safety classes. Firearm safety in the household is your responsibility. Do your part to prevent unwanted tragedy from striking in your home. For more information, visit JasperCountySheriff.org.
Buckle up, because belts just got better. With Core Essentials, the perfect fit every time. With 40-plus sizing positions. Styles for any situation. Whether in the boardroom crushing sales and taking names, on your next adventure, in the great outdoors, or when you're done for the day and ready to relax. Get your perfect fit with Core Essentials.
The Gun Shop Show, the Gun Shop Show. What is it? We don't know. The Gun Shop Show, the Gun Shop Show. Here we go, it's the Gun Shop Show.
Welcome back to the Gun Shop Show. We're having a lot of fun today. Our guest is Caleb Stillians. We don't always get to have our guests in studio, but it's been fun to get to know you. And here in the show overdrive, is where you will determine if you probably remain friends with us or not.
Okay.
This is where we get weird.
And it goes off the rails, too.
Things kind of fall apart sometimes.
I say stuff I shouldn't.
Not too weird, right? Clothes are going to stay on, not going to get too wild.
So far, we have not had any... we've had references to nudity, but I don't know that we've had... Trevor, have we had any actual nudity so far on the show overdrive?
I don't
Not
think so.
on screen.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We'll stay on screen.
That's the magic of show business. You never know. So there was a lot that we didn't even get to.
Yeah.
I want to show a little bit more of Caleb's video. So Caleb, you kind of set up, I think we have like a 2 minute, 40 second sort of sequence. And I know that's something that was near and dear to your heart, a close friend of yours. You want to kind of tell us about the story that we're going to see when we play this, and what it meant for you, and maybe draw a comparison, because you told me during the break, a lot of my videos are pretty standard to hunting with a little bit of motivational stuff, but then this one really like gets into some of the things that you believe in, and so can you draw that distinction for us?
Yeah, so this show was a little bit different because I had a friend pass away up through this fall, and death is not really something I've had a lot of experience with, so it was a different feel. So we wanted to kind of portray that when the hard times come, and they will come, I mean, the gravy train only lasts so long, and something's going to happen. Not saying you should look for those things, but it's going to happen. You got to be willing. You got to be willing and able to figure out what you can do to stay positive, and then also, you only got one life. So if you let that negativity creep in and you let it screw you up for 3 years, 2 years, 2 months, that's time you won't ever get back. And we don't have that much time. If we're lucky, we have maybe 80 years if we're lucky.
Yeah.
So you gotta make the most of each second that you have.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I had a really crappy thing happen to me in the last 5 years of my life. And I did that for a long time. It probably took 2 full years before I was myself again.
Mm-hmm.
Because I spent some time like not intentionally, but just like didn't everybody see what happened to me? Like, what kind of out can I have? What happens next? How do I get out of this? And it wasn't until it just like these things happen. And I blame myself too. Mm-hmm. But during that process, I learned like, okay, this wasn't my fault. But while I was examining the fact that it might be, I found out some things that I really could do better, or were flaws of mine that I worked on. It turned out I had bounced too far to that side of self-criticism, but a lot of positive things came out of it, because I said, if something's going to change, or if I'm going to prevent something like this from ever happening again, what can I change about myself? And I made a lot of changes through that. But it took a year and a half or 2 years, and I literally lost progress in my life. I lost happiness. I lost probably some closeness in relationships out of that. So if you can sort of understand that before that moment happens, it may not have taken so long for me if I'd have really thought and recognized in that moment, here's something that's happening to me right now, but it doesn't have to define the whole rest of my life. Mm-hmm. So if you're ready to roll the clip, we'll talk about that. You lost a friend, and do you want to share how that happened?
So it was suicide. And that's one of those things that you play back through, and you're like, what could I have done different? And as it kind of came out, this, what you were talking about, self-blame comes in big time into play. And then really understanding that, yeah, what happened. But what could you do better next time? So just to give you a little bit more of the background, I don't want to get into too much detail because he wasn't family, and I don't want to put their family out on display or anything like that. But we went to a ball. It would have been back in August, because I could just tell he was a little bit off, and I was like, dude, let's go. Like, let's go talk. And it took a lot of pushing, and I got him to go, and then we started talking a little bit about it and touched on it. And then he was like, hey, dude, have you ever thought about, ending it? I'm like, well, like suicide? He's like, yeah, kind of. I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, there was one time when I was in high school, I had this like really big breakup, like right between high school and college. And I was like, that was pretty rough. And yeah, those thoughts came across my mind, but it's one of those things you got to tuck your chin, and you got to keep going. Like, things are going to suck, but they're going to get better. And then, we kind of kept cutting up, and then we went about our day and started talking about hunting, because both of us were hunting guides, and went about it. And then I went off grizzly bear hunting for a month, and he went off wherever caribou hunting. And then we finally reconnect, and we chatting a little bit. And I was like, hey, dude, are you doing good? He was like, yeah, I'm doing good now. And I could see there was a BS behind that answer, but it was like, okay, it's his own business. I'm not gonna push. I'm just gonna, it's not gonna push. And then A couple weeks later, he passes away. So I don't know how to say this, but it's weird having that guilt, knowing, especially when it came out and I talked to all of his friends and my friends, mutual friends, and I was the only one that he talked to about it. And then it's like he picked me, and then I dropped the ball. So having that self-guilt, knowing that out of all the people, he was the only one I talked to, and then because he trusted you or whatever it was that caused him to do that, and then you didn't push that extra mile to make sure he was good. Like figuring out how to make sure that doesn't happen in the future.
And that's tough, and I can hear the emotion discussing your friend, and empathize. And I want to say the way that we can do better as a community is by making it something that we do discuss, so that we can be prepared for it. Because I dealt with it as a cop, so I had a little bit of insight into the aftermath, and I had some training, just some straight up, here's how you can determine if someone's serious about suicide, and here's some things that cause it, and here's some patterns of behavior that lead up. So I had that, but most people don't. I mean, it's like if you had 100 people open the hood on a newer car and try to figure out how to fix it, 99 of them wouldn't know how. And really, mental health is kind of that way. It's like, yeah, it really, in hindsight for you, is terrible to have to think back to what if I'd have done something different. But you were there for him. You were a friend who had that kind of conversation. Even if you had pushed it, who knows if you could have saved him or not. But this reminds me, we had a great guest, Michael Sodini, from Walk the Talk America, who has a nonprofit specifically tailored to the firearms industry and suicide, because there's kind of this confrontational relationship on the topic of firearm suicides, because anti-gunners use the death statistics from suicides as a column against guns, when we know in reality suicidal people typically will find a way to commit suicide. They don't do it because they have a gun, they just do it because the gun is available and that's the easiest thing. But we can't, as a gun community, say that there's no correlation between suicides and guns, and let's just push mental health out of this uncomfortable thing and just be macho gun guys or macho hunters. So if you will permit us to, being from your hunting perspective, I would like to put you in touch with Michael Sodini and some of the resources that he has for support and like ways that you can make a difference for suicide and firearms related suicide. Is kind of a heavy topic, but when it comes up, if we don't at least become familiar with this discussion, then we're all going to be ill prepared when those moments happen, and we don't know how serious they are. So thanks for sharing that story. And Trevor, let's roll the remaining of this video. People can go watch the full episode because your videos are in episode series on YouTube, but let's play the last minute so people can see some of the passion that you put into this topic.
Blah, blah, but that's what I get paid to do. 80 years, if we're lucky, is not that long. It's a flash. And you only get one of them. You only get one life on this earth, what I personally believe. So you don't have a lot of time. And you gotta decide, how am I gonna make the most of this? You die, and I believe in heaven, and you go to heaven. And God gives you a perfect body, perfect whatever, and he's got what he intended you to be. And on that day that God says, you know what, so God's the number one person. Wow, you get to actually see God. Wow, like how awesome is that? Well, now he says, let's imagine this. He says to you, you want to go meet who I made you to be, who I intended you to be, all the things you accomplished. Imagine how scary that is. You walk up to that guy and he's a complete stranger. You have no idea who that man is. You failed. You didn't even do a hundredth of what God intended you to do because you got in a rut and you took the easy road out and you didn't take every opportunity. You didn't take every chance to help people. And sometimes I don't take every chance and I regret those chances, but my goal is to have less of those. The opposite is that you go up there and God's like, do you want to meet the guy I intended you to meet? Heck yeah. And you walk up there and you shake his hand and you're like, dude, I've known you my whole life. I've met you, like you me. Like what the heck? I'm looking into a mirror right now. Because you did everything that you could do. You did the choices, the actions that God wanted you to do, and it made you the man that you want to be. And you need to constantly be thinking, what is this next decision? Is it going to add value? And is it going to add value to other people? And is it going to get me closer to who I need to be when I die? Because you only get one shot. One shot, that's not a lot. You don't want to mess that one shot up. So take those actions and do what you need to do.
Thanks for sharing such a thing that I know is close to you and is not probably easy to talk about. It's a lot more fun to talk about. I get to go to these awesome places on earth and do awesome things, and people watch me do it and support me through that. I mean, that's all easy stuff, but thanks for sharing that harder to talk about stuff. The content that you put out, top quality. I mean, compelling, entertaining. I recommend that all of our listeners go check out your channel. Hit subscribe. When you get there, the Gun Shop Show comes to you all these different ways and you can find it. But for a YouTuber, it's so important that you thumbs up a video that you appreciate and that you click subscribe so that you see the next time Caleb puts out a video, you're going to get that first thing as soon as it goes live. So make sure that you do that. And Caleb, again, thanks so much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome, man.
Logan.
Yes.
You were supposed to be the host of the show.
I know, then you stole it from me and I lost all my mojo.
I'm going to get that man a cup of mojo.
Yeah, get him a big helping size of mojo.
Yeah.
Let's do it now.
Do what now?
Let's start clean slate.
Start the show over?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Let's start over.
So tell us what you do.
I don't know.
You said you wanted a bear encounter story, right?
Yeah, I watched one of your videos and I was curious. I watched the guy you were guiding. He shot the bear. How many times on average does it take to put a bear down?
So it's different. It's kind of weird. So it all depends on if they're ready and when they're not. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you can put a bear down in one shot. So a story that comes to mind, I guided this 10-year-old on a grizzly this fall, get him 82 yards away from this grizzly, and the bear was trying to wind us, but I did my job right, and he's not going to wind us, and we slide down with him because he's trying to circle around. And finally he's like, what in the heck's happening? So he stands up on his hind legs. He's looking down at us like, what's going on? Trying to figure out what we're all. Mm-hmm. And then I have the little boy set up. I'm like, are you on him? He's like, yeah. I'm like, good. I was good, attaboy. I was like, can you aim right at his head? Yeah. I'm like, attaboy. I was like, take that crosshair and go just beneath his chin. Yeah. I'm like, are you on it? Yeah. Shoot that son of a gun. Yeah. Boom. Drops him. It went straight through his windpipe, broke his neck. Dude, barrel was like a slinky. Just came down. Versus the barrel that Mr. JD shot, well, it took shot him 7 times before he finally died, and 6 of those 7 shots were kill shots with double lungs behind the shoulder. The only one that wasn't was, remember when he was cresting that hill? Yeah. I just drew up, found Brown, and shot him in the hip. So that was to slow him down. That's kind of what made him stop after that, because he could have kept going for miles. It's weird, those big barrels that are filled with testosterone, even a hot shot, they can still run. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, even non-predator like a deer, it's amazing. Sometimes they can put a mile after a fatal shot, just because animals are tough, and if running is their thing or fighting is their thing, they're going to do it until they're physically not able to do it. The thing that makes it different with the bear is it's still lethal up until that last moment when it can't move. So it certainly adds quite a bit to the sport of hunting one. What else, Logan?
Stuff.
You have a whole list, right?
Well, I did have a list, but I kind of abandoned it.
You just scrapped it?
Yeah, I don't have it with me anymore.
How come?
Because you asked most of the questions.
I was just talking.
I know, and that's what I planned on doing. I actually only had a few questions that I've already asked them. But I'm curious, some of the terrain that you went through looked absolutely miserable. What was the worst experience you had trying to guide a hunt?
Probably it goes into that goat hunt on Misery Ridge. There's a pack out where I had to go 6 miles through the swamp 3 times with 200 pounds on my back.
Is that what we saw in the clip where you have the...
Kind of. So that one wasn't the 6 mile pack out. That one was only like a mile, and the swamp was not too deep. But this one story I'm thinking of is 6 miles through the swamp, and you're talking about going through some spots where the water was nipple deep, and you have your rain jacket is jipped up, and you just hope you don't. Oh yeah. But you're just going through, and you're like, crap. But
yeah, I gotta admit that seeing you trek through that swamp, I don't think people would associate swamp with Alaska.
And it's funny because there's so much of it up there.
Yeah. But there you are, and you're stepping through, and you think, okay, it's knee deep muddy water. But I saw the one portion where you step off in a deeper spot, and you're, at least waist, if not higher, and you probably couldn't tell until you took that step.
And there's some, like, I don't know what you would call them, but I call them like suicide holes. Like, you'll be walking through, and it's like there's a lot of section where it's like floating marsh. And you think it's solid, but then you'll be walking through, and all of a sudden you hit a hole, and it's this never land. And there's been a few times where I've hit those holes, and luckily you learn to walk. You never keep 2 feet next to each other. So when you take a step, you're like really being conscious of that. So my other leg was able to catch me, and there was one time I had this big old moose rack on my back. I'll have to show you the video. I did a plank with it after I was done, but I'm going through, and my right leg slips off in the Neverland, and I have this moose rack like this that digs into the ground, and then I have my leg that's pinned with, like, the moose rack came down and pinned my left leg to the ground, and I'm just sliding off, and I'm slowly slipping into Neverland. I'm literally like pinned, like a black belt's got me in jiu-jitsu, and I'm just stuck. But luckily there's 2 other guys with me. I'm like, help.
That's a crazy thing. Like, if you were alone, you could drown in those kind of situations, or just get pinned and never be able to get out, and it's quite treacherous country. I saw in one of your clips some waterfall areas is gorgeous stuff, and you talk about this, like, where in Alaska are you on a lot of these ventures? Where do we see those waterfalls?
Okay, so I'm really blessed to, like, pretty much go all over the state. So the last video we watched at the ending, that's out kind of getting close to BC, Canada area. It's east of Cordova a little ways, and then some of the waterfall shots, those were taken out by Prince William Sound area. So that's this east of Anchorage. Some of the sunrise shots that was taken on, like, Kodiak Island. If you go and, like, look at the sheep hunt, that was shot up in the Brooks Range north of the Arctic Circle. So it's pretty much, if you watch the show, you see every aspect of Alaska because it's bouncing around so much. So
that's awesome. So how many episodes of your show have you done so far?
There's 4 of them out right now.
And about how long are each one?
22 to 30 minutes long.
And how much time goes into to create that in its entirety? How much time is encapsulated in those episodes?
Okay, so you're looking up anywhere from like 6 to 12 days of shooting out in the field for each episode, because there's a lot of days that in hunting, it's just like anything. Those days that nothing happens, when you just like, I didn't see one animal, I am bored out of my mind. And then those days where it's like boom, boom, boom. So finding the balance of, for the show, going through the editing time, because we can't show too much of nothing happening, because then people are just going to be bored out of the mind. But if we take all of it out, then it's going to be fake. So finding that balance of, okay, hunting doesn't always pay off. Like, that's why it's hunting and not killing. But enough mixed in with highlights that it keeps people engaged. So there's probably about, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks in the editing itself. So you're looking at 3 weeks to a month editing, and, well, not editing, but total production in each show.
That's impressive. And do you, I mean, I presume you plan to go on and do as many of them as possible.
Oh, yeah. So this next season, actually, so I'm about to spend some money on camera equipment, and I'm working on kind of talking, getting connections in with Netflix and stuff, and kind of doing like MeatEater did, and maybe do it on some other platforms, and just kind of continuing that. So we're upgrading camo. One thing that I can say about the show, just watching it myself, some of the episodes, because you're on Alaska, you're in the wind, you're in all this crap, the audio is not quite what I would want it to be. It's not studio quality. So the biggest thing that we're going to be, new lab mics, cameras that are Netflix approved or TV station approved, that it's, so we're already shooting 4K, so it's already really good video, like support video, but they have a standard that's even past that. So meeting all those standards, that we can go ahead and put it on those big old platforms once we get the traction, which is coming. So, and
was your vision to sort of prep for getting picked up by Netflix, or were you initially just like, I want to make some YouTube videos?
I never even thought of it really, so it's kind of just been a process, kind of like what I was saying when I used to try to shoot stuff on my phone, and I was like, yeah, these videos are cool, but all the course crap that happens, I gotta have my hands on my gun, or when I'm driving the boat and 12-foot swells in the sea, I can't be worrying about filming it. I gotta make, because if I make this mistake and my bow dips into this next crest, then I'm sunk and I'm gonna be dead in 10 minutes, because I'm gonna get hypothermia because the water's 40 degrees. So that's kind of where the inspiration came from, of like trying to figure out how to make it feasible to get a cameraman up there so we can start capturing this stuff. And then it's just kind of been developing since then on like where we want to end up, what we want to do with it. And just, so the inspiration behind the show, a lot of it is that a lot of people my age and younger and even older, they don't, there's this big thing that pisses me off when I hear, can I say on this?
We're good now.
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
you can say it.
Sweet,
I mean, don't say it a bunch, but you can say it a few times.
Okay. Drives me crazy is 20s or the find yourself. Like, what the hell? Did I lose myself? Like, what happened? Did I put myself in my back pocket and now I gotta figure out where I went? It's like, you don't have to like find yourself. Your whole life is a journey, and it's about making the best decisions that you can in the like aspect of journey you're at now. So don't be like, oh, I'm in college, doesn't really matter, I can just go party, which I'm all for having fun, go party, but I can just party and kind of show up to my classes, and I can start living my life when I graduate. To me, that's just such a stupid idea. I don't understand it.
You know, I agree with that. And another thing that I hear in that same kind of conversation is wait to get married until you're 30 and then have kids 10 years after that. And it's not criticism of people who have chosen to do that, but it's because, well, your 20s are for having fun, and your 30s you need to spend time with your partner, and then you can, and it almost like paints this picture of you ruin your life by having kids. And I had kids when I was young, and I think your life should be, one, not all about fun, but what makes you plan to not have fun with your children when you're 22 and be able to provide an influence and a positive thing on that? Because I agree, if you're putting off segments of your life because they're gonna suck, then you're planning for your life to suck instead of just be living your life every day.
It goes into that subconscious. You're expecting this to suck, so what happens? You make it suck. when it should be amazing. Like, I don't have kids, so I'm not married. But I'm hoping one day I'm blessed to be a dad, and then I can play with those little kids and I can help mold them. You know, they're going to be who they are, but I can help mold them into a better version of themselves with my wife. It's like, how is that not going to be fun? That's got to be amazing.
It's the coolest thing. It's the greatest honor to be a dad. And it is amazing how the culture is not that way. So whenever I worked at a police department, and whenever I got engaged, I had about 7 guys, other men from the department, come over and like, well, guess your life is over.
Old ball and chain.
And had one guy say, dude, if you do it right, marriage is the best possible thing that can happen to you in your life. And so now, having experienced those influences, when I see a young person taking that step, I'm like, look, this can be the best thing that ever happened to you, and the best thing that ever happened to your partner, if you want it to be, because it is a beautiful partnership. And again, it goes into what do you want to get out of that experience? And if you go into it thinking that you're giving something up by having that other person and that they're taking from you, you're never going to succeed in those relationships.
And this is me going to be adding, but I have no idea because I'm not married. But to me, like, one thing that I see that people do wrong, maybe per se, I can't say for sure, but they have like these crazy expectations, and they have this image painted in their mind that they got from watching Fault in Our Stars or whatever countless love movie you can name off. And then they expect that in this situation, this person should do this because such and such did this in the movie, and if he doesn't do that, he doesn't love me. Well, it's your life is not that movie. Your life is your life. So you guys are 2 people together trying to make a go of it, not 2 people in whatever script somebody wrote. And having that and knowing that and realizing that each situation is different, and you need to love that person unconditionally, no matter what, and then you can get through anything. That's this, again, outside perspective, not married.
That's absolutely true. I mean, this is true of any relationship. If you go into it immediately thinking, what can I get out of this? You're going to be disappointed a lot. Even people that bring a lot of value and bring you a lot of positive things, if you're just looking for, I'm in this so I can see what I can get out of it. Almost everybody, even a wonderful person, is going to fall short. But if you think, I may have been put on this earth to serve this other person, and there may be parts of me that are going to be what it takes for them to have a good life. And if you look at it that way, like, I'm called to be here for them. And then there may be all these great perks that go along with us being together. It changes the entire perspective of your relationship. Same thing with your kids. You know, and they're a pain in the butt. It's like they're not going to make it through life, especially as children, without you. So that can either just be something that you go through the motions of, or you can think, God put me on this earth to do this for them. How can I do it the best way?
It's one of the best feelings is sharing every day with your best friend, just trying to better them, help them succeed in life. It's crazy how much marriage has changed me in just this short year.
Yeah, I was going to say about a year for you, right?
The 14th on Pi Day is 1 year.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that. It's wonderful, but you go from looking at yourself and seeing how you can better yourself to bettering this other person, and it's so much more rewarding seeing someone else succeed based off your hard work than it is seeing yourself succeed. I will feel that way for the rest of my life.
That's really an admirable thing. And I was going to ask you, like, you and I may have had a little bit of that conversation about how marriage can be an excellent thing. But now, like, it's time to leave your Amazon review for marriage. How many stars are you giving it right now?
6 out of 5.
6 out of 5. That's pretty good.
It's wonderful. If you find the right person and you put in the work, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like there may be some housekeeping things I've left out, Trevor. You've been awfully quiet this episode.
I don't think so, man.
We cover all our bases.
You got the winner.
I think we got the hat coming. If anybody wants a hat.
You're adding your sweet in
forgot
the pot.
about it.
So Caleb has some really sweet merch with his tagline on it. And you want to add that. Do you want to do a separate giveaway, or do you want to?
What's best for you guys? We could do two. We could do one with the gun and one separate with the gun.
Okay. Well, we're going to give away 2 hats.
Yeah, 2 hats, yeah.
So we're going to add on to the winner one of Caleb's hats, which he's going to show you. And then also, we're going to draw a second name. So when we do these things on the fly, Trevor has to wildly make notes over here.
Okay.
So that we keep up with our promises, because you can accidentally, which is, again, not being a good steward of your following and your listeners, you can accidentally say, hey, we're going to do this thing. And then people don't understand, like, a million other things happen between this episode and the next.
Yeah.
And then you forget to pick the winner. And what you did is you lied. You didn't mean to.
No.
But so we have to keep good notes and make sure we actually remember to do that.
That's something that I'm finding. So, like, not really any big promises, but more like phone calls. Like, someone's like, hey, can we talk on the phone? I'm like, yeah, we can do this. And then something will happen. I won't write it down. I won't put it in my notes reminders on iPhone. And then someone else will make that same thing and like, yeah, and then I'll get that person. I'll totally forget about that other guy. And then I look like an a-hole to him because I just more or less blew him off. But it was like, I had like 25 people talk to me in that 2-hour time frame.
Yeah.
So, I'm really sorry. Like, this is like, you got to take ownership of that, because then it doesn't make the situation better, but it doesn't make it any worse. So instead of being like, well, you got to understand this and this, and this, like, my bad. That was on me. My screw up. I would do my best not to make sure it doesn't happen in the future. And you better not make it happen in the future, because if you do, then that person's really just going to be like, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah, it's, I do the same thing. I had a guy, he needed me to do something. We had a deal, and I needed to follow up this last piece of the deal. And he called me, and I'm like, yes, next week, I'll make some time, and I'll do that. And I swear, like, I had 100% genuine intention to do that. But, like, I hung up the phone and somebody walked up and said something else, totally unrelated to me. And from that moment, that awareness just, like, left my brain. And, like, 2 weeks later, he called me. He's like, hey, 2 weeks ago, you were going to do this thing. And I know that it probably feels like I would just say, whatever, and then don't really intend to do it. But the truth is, like, as soon as I saw him calling, I'm like,
it pops in right away.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, So, but I found overall, if you're for real, people are more understanding when you're real with them, and we have that in business because, when you have the business relationship, you don't have a real personal relationship with someone, then they don't really care. It's like, for example, when we oversell something, it happens right now with super hot, we have got this really desirable item. Maybe we got 5 boxes of this ammo everybody wants. We've got it listed on our website, and we got it on the shelf in the store. And sometimes we'll get 5 orders on the website. Right at the same time, the guy walks out with 5 boxes of it. Now we've got people that didn't get the product. And the customer doesn't understand that. He thinks that you're just trying to make a sale and you don't care about him. And if you call him, though, and you're like, you don't understand the market. You don't understand how hard we have to work to fill these orders. And we didn't mean to do it, but you should understand it's easy to do and things are like this. They don't care. But if you call and you say, we screwed up. Here's what happened. You still can tell them, here's why it was difficult to manage, but it still shouldn't happen. Even though that we have systems in place that were supposed to catch us and that didn't. Most people, whether on a personal level or even in that professional level, if you're genuine with them, try to offer them some concession, people get it. They understand.
Yeah, most people would get it.
People understand with my schedule, and I'm sure for you, with the kind of work you do, they understand too that your attention span is going to be different than the average person. The amount of bandwidth that you have to deal with their request is going to be more difficult than somebody that has a regular job or regular, interactions. And I found in many instances, people are more forgiving than we give them credit for. We build it up worse in our mind than actually it is for the other person.
I think it goes to like you were saying, you got to eat your pride and like eat your own ego and be like, we screwed up all bad, and you take all the they had no responsibility in it, but once you own up to it. So are you familiar with Jocko Willink at all? So I draw a lot. He's got a book called Extreme Ownership. So you gotta eat even if it probably was their fault, which in this situation it wasn't, but if there is a situation where it's like that, if you can eat that, then that softens their defenses up, and now they can take a perspective instead of being aggressive towards you. Like, yeah, I probably did this wrong too. I'm sorry about that. And by you eating the ego first, then it allows them to do that. But if you just go after them like, you did this, I did this, but you also did this, then all of a sudden they get that defensive. Yeah. And then this screws everything up.
Yeah, I have a business, a friend, and I sold him a business, and he lost a big account, a big sale, and part of it was. He messed up a big order, a big sale. And to be fair, the client, when they make the request for it, it was very confusing the way they did it. And when we were owning the business, we just learned this is how they want to send it into us. So we got to figure out what it means. We have to ask enough questions to deliver the thing that they need. Well, when they said, hey, you've messed this up a couple times, instead of being like, I'm so sorry, what can I do different? He said, well, the way you send it over makes no sense. So, it's not on me. They don't care. They wanted the product. Yeah. And he lost it over it. And he's new, so, he'll probably figure it out and bounce back. But that was a perfect example of you shouldn't really be able to do that in any of your relationships. But when it's a professional one, people just want the thing that they paid you for. They don't care about your opinion on the way that it's done. And if you get even the least bit into a debate, it's not going to end well for you professionally.
Yeah, I think the reason people do it is it's just easier to not blame yourself and to point the blame somewhere else.
Well, and oftentimes your complaint is legitimate. In this case, his complaint was legitimate.
Yeah.
They were making it harder than it needed to be. True. You mean a neutral person would agree with that. But it doesn't matter in
doesn't.
Maintaining that relationship.
And both things can be true. It can be true that their complaint is legitimate and that you also dropped the ball.
Right.
Yeah. So it's true that they might have sent it in more difficult than they should have. But at the same time, you dropped the ball and you need to own up to it.
And is the whole thing worth it more to you than being right about your position? And that's not an easy thing for a lot of people to.
Yeah, it's not. And it's more beneficial in the long run if you just swallow your pride. Doesn't matter if you're wrong or not, or if you think you're wrong or not. Admit that you're wrong, or at least say that you're wrong. Apologize, be sincere about it, and try to help better the situation, because in no instance, or I shouldn't say in no instance, but in very few instances will that not help the situation and maybe make your business in the future even better and more successful.
Yeah.
Because I'm more willing to spend my money with someone that's willing to accept that they have flaws, they're going to make mistakes, but they want to better themselves and better those situations.
Yep. Okay, we never told about the hat giveaway.
No, we didn't.
Hey, that was a good conversation, though.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. But let's pull up, if you would, Trevor, let's pull up Caleb's hats. These are very sharp-looking hats, and they've got a phrase on them. Share with us what you told me during the break a little bit about why that your hat says "Get After It." Tell us about that.
Okay, so they incorporate the logo with it. It's the sun coming up, and then you have the mountain. So the sun's coming up the mountain, and then if you look real closely, there's this little guy booking butt up to the top of the mountain. So it goes back to he's up before the sun comes up, and he's about to make it to the top of the mountain before the sun even comes all the way up. So he's getting up, getting early, getting after it. There's like the Thomas Jefferson, early bed or to rise makes a young man rich, wealthy, and wise.
Healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There you
there's a lot of truth to that. Like getting up and then having discipline to do the stuff that you want to do, and then like get after it just kind of comes into it. Like get after whatever you want to do. If you want to get that new job, that new promotion, get after it. If you don't have the skills to get that new job and new promotion, figure out how to get the skills.
Get after getting the skills.
Yep.
And also just start, because a lot of times what you view as obstacles aren't your real obstacles. You probably have other ones you haven't foreseen.
They're self-imposed obstacles that we put on ourselves because we don't really want to do it because it's hard.
Oh yeah.
So these are the mesh back style hats with the leather get after it scene on it, and so these are really sharp looking hats. So I imagine that's like, what would someone pay for that? If
$35.
Yeah,
it's $35.
I could tell there was.
That's a $35 hat.
I was going to say $35, $40 hat. But there's going to be 2 of these given away. So we're going to draw 2 names, and you do it the same way. You share the feed, you tag 5 friends on Facebook. So even if you're a podcast listener, go on to the feed, and even if it's afterwards, I think a lot of people misunderstand that. If you listen in the middle of the night and you don't know what I'm talking about, go to Liberty Tree Guns page. You will see where we were live this episode of the Gun Shop Show with Caleb Stillians, and just click share and then go in the comments and tag 5 friends, and you're going to get entered to win. And so everybody that does that, we're going to draw a winner for the gun, the Ruger American Rifle in 270 with a hat. Caleb has very generously added in the hat. And then also we're going to pill a whole second winner, so another person can get the hat. And I think you told me they were still being made. So
yeah, so there's going to be a little bit of wait, but if you do get drawn, when you do get drawn, just be patient with me. We're going to get it to you, but there's going to be a little bit of a time delay because there's a lot of people coming in after them. The hats are still coming in, so it's just like playing that, being understanding. Like, please, I'm up front. We're going to get it to you, but it might take a little bit.
So when we'll draw on the next episode, we'll choose the winners. And then once we get those winners, we'll get the name to you. And then just whenever they come in, our listeners will be aware that there may be a delay there, but you can fill those orders when they come in. So thank you so much for giving those to our listeners.
Oh, no, thank you for having me on.
That's awesome.
On the topic of get after it, that has so many applications in life, but it is also another thing that, I get asked a lot about starting a business and entrepreneurship, and I have had several lucky successes in the business industry, but the biggest thing I can tell people is just that, like, just start. Start. You're not going to know what you're doing. But a lot of the things that you think are the reason that you don't have a business right now are not it. A lot of people are like, man, I bake really good cakes, but I don't have a commercial kitchen. Just bake the cake. Like, I might be a little bit of an anarchist when it comes to those kind of regulations. Bake the cake, take it to your neighbor, see if they'll pay you money for it.
Yeah.
Because it might not be the commercial kitchen. It might just be your cakes kind of suck. And you're not going to know whether you can go get a $15,000 just to even barely get started inspected commercial kitchen just to find out that it's not that's stopping you. It's you don't want to put in the work, or your cakes aren't good enough yet. So just start. A business can literally be one interaction between you and the other party. If they want to pay you anything for it or exchange anything of value, that's where it starts. And you have to just get after it and start and learn from there.
And get feedback. And then when they give you feedback, if it's negative, don't get offensive about it. Like, there's so many people that so I'm blessed enough that where I'm at now, I got kids my age and a little bit younger than me asking me different opinions on stuff. And some of the kids, I'm like, okay, this is my honest feedback. This part sucks. This part's good. And then sometimes they'll get offensive to it. Like, well, this is what you could prove on. Same way in my book. I'll go talk to a business guy I know that's done way more than I have, very successful. And I'll be like, here's my idea. Do you think it's a good idea? And you're like, no, this is a stupid idea. And you give me reasons why. And I have to stop myself. I'm like, this is my idea. Wait, what is he saying? can I fix those problems with the business model? Or is this business model not worth my time to continue with? And now I need to figure out how to make a new business model and do the exact same thing again. And thank that guy for ripping me a new one, because that has saved me a lot of time and a lot of money.
You know, what I've found, and it took me a long time to learn this, when someone gives me a negative opinion of my plan or my thoughts, and the truth is, you can't take advice from just everybody, because most people will tell you that ideas are bad and you shouldn't pursue them and you should stay working at the cheese factory and that's the good life and do what they're doing and don't ever try anything new. No offense to anybody that does, but I'm saying, like, that's, you go to guys that aren't doing what you want to be doing and ask them, should I go do this thing? Most of them are going to tell you no, it's a bad idea, or else they'd be out doing it themselves. But what I learned was, if I tell you my plan and you give me some criticism or here's why I think that it's a mistake or parts of it are a mistake, if I feel angry and defensive, you're probably right. Because I know, part of me knows what you're saying is true, and that's jamming me up from what I think I want to do. Now, if I go to you and you say you shouldn't do that, and it's because of a naive reason or a reason that's not good, because that's the thing about entrepreneurship. You're going to do the thing that nobody has tried over and over, and that 9 out of 10 people wouldn't have thought was a good idea, and that's why you're the one guy doing it. So you got to be prepared to do it anyway, even when people tell you not to. But for me, I've learned now after years, I can tell if it's not good criticism, not good feedback, I'm like, thanks, okay, and it slides right off my back. But when I'm like, he had the nerve to say that, then I'm like, it's usually because there's some nugget of truth, and it's going to eat at me until I fix it or change my plans a little bit.
No, that's dead right. It's like there's going to be the naysayers, but when that naysayer is getting a really emotional reaction, that means you tied to something too close and you're not looking at it objectively. So you need to, maybe what they're saying is completely false, but if it's still triggering that reaction, you need to take a step back and double check your plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Caleb, it's been great to get to know you, and I hope that you'll remain a friend of the show.
Absolutely.
Come back on the show when you're not in Alaska.
Oh, yeah. We got to get you guys up to Alaska. I'll come back and you come up.
You know, I wanted to get into it, and we probably shouldn't drag it on too long, but I'm interested, of course, because I always am, in the business elements of what you do. And I was just curious, without giving away all of the farm, like, what's it cost to go on a guided hunt for brown bear?
You're looking at like $33,500 to go on Kodiak. So, yeah, it gets pretty pricey, especially when you start looking at the supply and demand on different hunts and what units you go to. So, you just got to shop around and figure out what you want to pay for and what you want to don't. Like, so like you can do a hunt for $10,000 and it might suck. You know what I mean? You might be miserable and you might not see a bear. Or you could go spend $70,000 and go hunt it off a yacht. It's like it's just like anything else. It's what you want to spend, what value. So.
Well, I figured it was that way, but I imagine that you get to meet some really interesting clientele because the type of people generally that have developed the means to go on a once in a lifetime experience like that are probably pretty interesting people a lot.
I know I've been very, very blessed to meet some of my good friends today, guiding them on a hunt. Like this, kind of touching back on what we were talking about like 2 minutes ago. This one guy gave me such great advice, and it doesn't hold true in every case, but it holds true in a lot of cases. Never take advice of someone you wouldn't trade places with in that moment. So if you're talking to a guy about relationships and his marriage is about to fail, maybe don't take what he says to do in your marriage.
Relationship advice.
Yeah, it's like flowing with that. But yeah, crazy cool people. And that's probably what's influenced me in the business world, is like because I come from a very poor background. Secaucus not known for wealth. And Logan can attest.
I went to Avila Elementary, so I'm real familiar.
Avila might be even worse than Secaucus.
Yeah, it might. Yeah. Secaucus was the snobby big town compared to Avila.
They go to Secaucus.
Like, I have a big city folk over there.
We were that way about Carthage.
Yeah. It's all relative.
We're like, dang Carthage people.
And now that I'm living in, like, sometimes I'll live in Springfield when I'm not up in Alaska doing whatever, and everyone's like, in Springfield of all places, it's such a small time feel. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Big city stuff. Yeah. It is really funny, and it is all a matter of perspective. I went and visited this town in Florida this winter, and while I was there, I joined this Facebook group for just that town. Mm-hmm. And so there's some good discussion. You can learn about where some things are. But I saw this post, and the question was, anyone know when the vaccine's going to become more available? Because I've been waiting for a long time. And this lady comes in and she comments, well, they're giving it out to all the rich people first, and that's why we can't get it. So I click on this lady's profile.
Yeah.
She has a house in Connecticut.
Okay.
A winter home in Florida. Several very exotic birds that she clearly was a big part of her life, like giant, colorful tails. I don't know how much these birds cost, but they cost money. I can tell by looking at them. Mm-hmm. And they cost money to keep. And I thought, lady, you own 2 houses. You winter in Florida. You got a big fancy bird sitting on your shoulder. Who do you think rich people are? Like, compared to the most people in the world, you are absolutely filthy rich.
And that's one thing to touch on, like, say, America. Like, there's, again, entitlement. It's like, you look at America and the history of everyone and everyone on this planet, we are in the top 1%. Everyone in America that makes over like $14,000 a year is in the top 1% of the world population. So even though this country might be doing some stuff that maybe is not the greatest, but if you're going to start like burning the flag and stuff, maybe you should look at where you live at compared to everywhere else.
Life here is pretty darn good. Our poorest people have heat and air and smartphone and food, and it's quite evident that our poor people are fat. So, and that's not to downplay poverty, but I mean, we have it really good, and we lose sight of just how good we have it. So this has been a ton of fun, and I would love to go to Alaska. I'm going to make a commitment to travel more. I don't know if I'm going to kill a bear, but I'm definitely going to get up there and see the countryside and maybe shoot something.
Oh, yeah.
And probably sometimes if a bear comes at you, you don't have a choice. Like,
no, yeah. If you want to avoid that, because DLP and a bear is a lot of paperwork, but you need to be prepared.
Yeah.
That's people that go up there with bear spray, I'm like, what crack are you on? Like, no, you want at least 300 grains that's traveling like 2,800 feet per second. Yeah. You don't want no stupid can.
That bear's going to be like, no.
Trevor, what was it?
F-Bad 40.
Yeah, there we go. So that's the SKU.
F-Bad 40.
That we sold hundreds of cans of bear spray on Amazon all over the country. And we were like, why is everybody buying this bear spray? And you're right. There's a lot of people that that's their plan of attack. Mm-hmm. They're going to spray them with that stuff.
It's funny to think that the bear would be like, you got me this time, but next time without that spray.
But we don't find you without that spray.
Exactly.
Now I would carry it for self-defense, because you imagine being a person getting sprayed with that crap?
Honestly, we did sell some of it to Alaska and some states where there are bears, but we sold it all over, and I think that a good portion of those sales, it was just they wanted a giant canister of pepper spray, and it says bear spray on the label, but the truth is it's just oleocasticum in a big old container with like a 20-foot range on it. So anything that you want to leave us with, Caleb?
Just get after it.
Thanks. This has been so much fun.
Wise words.
Yeah, we loved having you. Thank you so much. This is the signal, by the way.
This man's got a shoe.
Yep. This is
if I'm George Bush, I'd be really nervous right now.
Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
Honestly.
Oh,
that's
man.
how he ends the show.
Yeah. so out of the ordinary that you know that I want to end the show. And I took my shoe off and held it up to the camera. And it's been a tradition.
The more you know, the more happens. Let me say.
If I'm not down to win, we'd be in trouble.